All right, I am here with Brandon Grych. Like I mentioned earlier, when I first met Brandon, I thought he hated me.
It's understandable, honestly. Like, not everyone gets that kind of I don't know, humor. I wouldn't even
Yeah,
call it
well, it's like
humor.
it
It's
makes sense, but
if
it's one of
you
those I didn't know you yet,
yeah,
and so it's
yeah.
like I mean McLovin's a similar way. Like he'll tell everyone
Mhm.
he hates them, and I got used to that because I know him.
Right.
But coming into it, I remember I jumped on to play the Forest with like you, Boone, I
It
think
was
Peyton and
Allie.
yeah, and Allie
Yeah.
and you said something, and I remember I was sitting at my computer and I was like, oh my god, should I leave? Like,
No,
um,
I remember it really well. You joined in and then I went, "Oh, she's here." And just like groaned about it, but that that wasn't it. I
yeah,
didn't hate you.
I
But
learned, I
there's like
figured it out.
yeah, well there's a lot of people like even now that have told me like, "Hey, when I first saw your stream, I thought you were an asshole." I was like, "Oh, okay. Like that's
That's
fine.
cool.
Glad
Yeah.
you're I don't know. It's hard to change first impressions, I guess, from like other people's perspective. Uh I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
feel like the dry humor, if people aren't acclimated to it, it definitely can come across like I have that same issue where a lot of my friends, like before I knew them, they're like, I thought you were a bitch before I knew you. And I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm real weird. And I promise I'm not mean, but my sense of humor can come across that way if you don't know.
Yeah, and with that, there's been some friends like on Twitch or other streamers that have clicked with that instantly, and because of that, we become friends super, super fast.
Oh yeah.
And then it's just that back and forth all day.
Oh, and I feel like those are some of the best interactions where you can just kind of like, fling it back and forth between the two of
Yeah.
you. Um, Real quick, if you wanted to give an introduction to everyone, just for everyone who's not familiar with you already, just kind of who you are, what you do.
I'm Brandon, kind of in and out of streaming in general as of now. I go to college for welding, to be a certified weld inspector to inspect welds with X-rays and ultrasonics, which is going to be sick at one point. I like setups, and I have a Burmese python. That's everything.
I'm sure everyone can appreciate just, I was talking to him about this before I switched over, but yeah, just how clean his setup is and how beautiful it is all the time. And if you do catch one of his streams, he's so smart with how he does everything. It constantly floors me. I think somebody showed me a clip from a while ago when you had, what was it, the giant like rooster in your closet.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember because I was streaming, and so I watched it on stream, and I just like yelled like, "That's a giant cock!" And I'm like, I'm in an apartment, like maybe I shouldn't. Um, but like, it's it's insane just what you figured out. You did the thing with the balloon pump so people could. What exactly was that again?
So, with bits, you turn on a smart outlet that turns on a like really big air pump for a certain amount of time, and it just has a one-way valve, so it pumps up the balloon, and then it just stays that way. That's
That's
it.
that's wild. I mean, you have a better understanding of, like, is it like coding and programming that would go into kind of hooking that stuff up?
It kind of, it's really easy, but
You
it's
say
kind of a
that.
secret.
You say
No,
that,
it's
but
really easy. Like I just hooked up for my neighbor Adriana, I hooked up a 6 foot one of the inflatable tube men to go off, and it took maybe 10 minutes. Like, yeah, it's really not bad. The hardest thing is coming up with something that you want that can be powered by an outlet, has an on switch. So like it can be switched on all the time. It doesn't need like a remote or something or like a button press or anything weird. The hardest thing is coming up with what to do with that like
yeah.
information, because I figured out I could do that and I was like, I have no clue. It took me like a week and a half just to think of something so simple. But whenever I thought of that, I was like, I have to do it though, because that's going to be a stepping point towards whatever else I want to do in the future, which is
Yeah.
hopefully something crazy and really stupid.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
yeah,
insane. I I mean, it's just kind of, it's wild to me, just like the creativity too. Cause like, I mean, you have all the base skills to do it, to set it up, and then coming up with stuff like that. Like, I don't know, the balloon, I could never, cause I feel like I would just spend the entirety of the stream just like really tense that it was gonna pop the whole time. But like, just stuff like that is so clever. I think you're the person who taught me or showed somehow about Leorin board. I feel like I think I found out through you.
Maybe.
But that I don't do anything crazy with that. It's just like sound effects and like changing camera angle. But
it's a tough program in general. Like that's how I had all of my like chicken stuff set up in the past, was just to get it to activate and deactivate just a WebM file that I pre-recorded. And a lot of my stuff has been based around having a constant camera position that doesn't change and constant lighting. Without that, no one else is able to have the same effect with that kind of stuff, really. I was gonna say, because with the camera, like I'll bump my camera sometimes, just like trying to turn it off or putting like the lens cover on. And so if I had anything set up like that, I'm actually messing around with a projector that like it works very specifically for the layout that you have it set on, but it scans everything. So the second you move it even just a little bit. I looked into that one for a long time. What's it called?
Lightform?
They're expensive. Lightform, yeah. So I looked into Lightform for a really long time to see if I could get my back wall, the whole thing to go through Lightform, and then just use that as kind of a like a monitor, basically. But that could map everything out. So if I had, say, a notification pop up in front of me, like that was just like a little flame or just something really simple, it would project what would be light from that little flame onto the back wall, so it would look like it was a lot more realistic in the environment.
Gotcha.
But I never went through with any of it because I couldn't find a cheaper short throw projector. Because I'm in a really small room. It's like 10 by 11 and a half. Like it looks huge.
I was gonna say the way that the camera set up makes it look really spacious.
No, the first thing that anyone says whenever they come over is, the room looks so much bigger, when it's not. Not at all.
I feel like just the depth of the camera and everything changes, because when I first moved into this apartment, I didn't have any of the lights or anything behind me, and it just seemed like this really giant empty cavern. But it also seemed kind of small. Like the way that you change lighting and everything will change how it looks, so much on stream.
I think with a lot of like Marianne's stream stuff, when we first moved here, her background was empty, but it made it seem really small until she added stuff, so it's just all over the place.
So streaming wise, when did you start? I guess I'm not as familiar about how long you've been streaming.
December of 2018.
Okay, gotcha. What brought you to start streaming?
My mom told me to.
Really?
Yeah. So I had tried streaming out probably a year and a half before that, but I was just doing games. I didn't think anything of the just chatting section at all, and I hated it. I still hate streaming games. Like, it's terrible. I think it's awesome for people that are capable of doing that. I'm actually a little jealous that I hate it so much, specifically because I just feel really torn between talking to people and playing the game, or just enjoying the game in general. And whenever I had my mom over for my birthday in November of 2018, I don't know, what did I, turning 21 maybe? 22? I was just like kind of showing her what I did for life and like daily stuff. And I don't really watch Twitch. I kind of just still have trouble watching Twitch in general, but I showed her like some clips of soda popping or something on YouTube because I watch Twitch highlights. And she was like, you should do that. And I'm like, Twitch? I tried that out, and she's like, he's just talking though. He's not playing games. I'm like, maybe. And then I did, and I absolutely loved it. Like day one, and day two, I ordered this camera and 30 nanoleaves. I was like, gotta go be a streamer.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that surprised me too about streaming, because when it was presented to me, my brother is the person who brought it up to me because I got a PlayStation or something. He's like, "Oh, you should be a
Yeah.
streamer." And so I was like, "Okay." And to me, like all I knew about it was like you stream games. And I tried to stream like
Mhm.
well, for one, I didn't have the equipment for it because it was on my Mac, like my MacBook.
Oh, yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah,
But
it's
so
tough.
I tried to stream like Spider-Man and I was like, this isn't my thing. Like, cause I can't focus on the game, but also focus on talking to people. And
Yeah.
then I realized that just chatting was a thing and realized like, oh, cool. Like I can actually talk to people and get to know them and have conversations. And that's just,
Right.
it's more interesting to me. But it's kind of cool to find the whole, I guess, subculture of, just chatting. And I think it's also fascinating because there are so many different kinds of just chatting streamers.
Oh yeah.
Like,
There's huge difference.
yeah.
Like, all over the place. It's really interesting to see how everything interacts.
Did you kind of, when you started with just chatting, did you kind of find your like voice immediately? Because I know sometimes people adjust into like how they present when they're on a stream versus in person. Like, how did you kind of fall into that? Or was it kind of the same from the beginning?
Stuff has definitely changed. I wouldn't say a lot, to be honest. Not a lot changed at all. Like there was times where I felt like I was going into certain corners of like, oh, happy, feel good, bubbly stream, or like super hyped up stream, and I would just kind of bounce around a little bit, but I always go back to the same place of kind of just hanging out and doing some dumb shit here and there.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I don't know. I feel like who's there with me, like in chat, really affects the stream heavily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's always people that I'm happy to see.
Yeah.
And I know we'll join in certain conversations, and like I'll have a ton of fun talking with them about certain things. So that steers a lot of it, even today.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because each person kind of brings in their own energy with them, and so
Yeah.
like you kind of know after a while, like when you see a name pop up, you're like, all right, so like we'll probably have this kind of thing going on. And one of the things I was gonna say is that one of the other things beyond your amazing production value that I appreciate about you is that you're a very, I don't know, you're authentic, like you're yourself. It's not like a character, and I just think that that's, I don't know, not reassuring, but like I appreciate it because it's just like you hanging out, you doing your thing. And I, again, like to each his own. Like I know some people are more into putting on a character and like that works for them.
Right.
But I feel like it's, at least where I've found my area in Twitch and like the people that I tend to relate with more is like, the people who just kind of like, it's them, but on stream. Do you think that there are any differences between you on stream and you off, like energy differences, or is it just pretty much the same? Like you could walk off stream and it would be the same kind of energy, if that makes sense.
For the most part, it's the same. If I'm around friends or anything like that, it's the same energy, or out doing things with a lot of other people that I know, which is not really a thing that happens if I'm in a like super comfortable environment. I'm typically a little bit quieter, just because I don't know. I don't know why that is, honestly.
So would you say that you're like quieter in big groups and maybe talk more like if it's like a smaller group or one-on-one?
It depends on how familiar I am with the group, really.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's the only thing. If I can go somewhere and don't really know anyone, and no one's like, there's been times where we've hung out with a bunch of streamers here in Austin and I didn't know anyone. No one was really very inviting. Just an environment where I feel like, maybe I don't want to be friends with anyone here.
Yeah.
I won't want to be there. That's it,
Yeah.
really. But that's more of a common thing than hanging out with a group of friends that I know. Right?
Yeah. So then would you say you're more introverted or extroverted, or is it completely situational?
So situational. Because a lot of the work environments I was in whenever I was younger was super social. I taught classes at Apple for people that were older that didn't know how to use iPhones and iPads, and it was always a super awesome time, and I felt like no problem engaging with people right off the bat. Like it was no trouble at all. But I'm really good at being alone because of my work with Twitter. I was just in my room on my computer alone for weeks at a time, and I got super used to that and also super comfortable with that. So I enjoy both a lot. I wouldn't say my like social energy gets depleted very fast. It just depends on who I'm with.
Yeah.
Also, if it's
yeah.
hot outside, I'm
Oh
done
my God,
immediately.
No one should be expected to do anything when it's hot outside. Like, I feel like all your energy is gone.
Yeah.
Well, especially in Texas. Like,
yeah.
how is it in Austin right now, like weather-wise?
It's really hot in the sun, like scorching. But let me see. It's not that bad. I don't know how to get to weather apparently. It's 91 right now at 7. It's 90 at almost 8 p.m.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't been. Well, I guess I went out a little bit. I'm going back to Dallas for a little over a week in a minute, and I'm not ready. My hair's not ready for the humidity.
Yeah.
It poofs out really, really quickly.
Yep.
But yeah, I was gonna say that's one thing I don't miss is just like getting off the plane and it's like you're swimming through the air because it's just so like thick with moisture.
Yeah, I remember when I lived in LA, I could hop out of the shower and just barely dry my hair off, and it would dry, you know?
Yeah.
Just normally, but here it's if you really dry your hair with a towel and then you lay down and go to sleep for 6 hours, you're gonna wake up and it's still gonna be damp.
Oh yeah, my grandparents' house is the same way. My grandparents live in Hawaii and they don't have an AC unit. So you like step out of the shower and you immediately start sweating. You're never clean.
Yeah, that's tough.
But yeah, so how was the, I guess, transition between, I guess, not even just the like climate of both areas, but the culture between LA versus Texas?
It was fun for what's like to go between cultures. And it was in 2014. So it seemed like, I don't know, it seems like people travel around a lot more now. Like I meet people from out of state here and then like people go back and forth. People were a lot less genuine and a lot less honest in LA for sure. Here everyone's more honest, even if they're gonna be an ass. They feel more honest in general. Whenever I was walking on the streets in the mornings, like on the way to Starbucks or anything, I lived like south of West Hollywood. Okay. So I was super downtown.
Yeah.
And I would see people all the time and I would just like naturally say, hey, hi, howdy, like just passing by. It's a very normal thing here. There, people looked like I was going to rob them. Except I remember one guy randomly just told me my eyes were absolutely beautiful and just like sprinted away. That hasn't happened here yet. But I messed with people a lot in LA. Whenever they heard me say y'all or heard me say that I was from Texas, if they knew that I wasn't from there. I remember I was at a party for like I don't know how I got here, but it was for some senator's like son. And they had this great huge house and this like beautiful pool and tons of people over, and his dad was gone for like a month and they were just throwing like a month-long party. And I was there one night and they were like, do you want any chips? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And they have like, you know, the variety pack of like Fritos and Cheetos and all that. And they know I'm from Texas. And I go, Cheetos? What are the Cheetos? And everyone looked at me and went, Cheetos? You guys don't have Cheetos? And yeah, they still I just played that out and it was so much fun for me and no one else. And I did that, little things like that throughout my entire year there.
That's hilarious. It's really funny too what people think, like how significant of a difference they think, you know, like when I think it was in middle school, it was like some like leadership conference in Washington, D.C. And I remember getting there, everybody's like telling where they're from. And when I say I'm from Texas and they're like, oh, do you guys like ride horses everywhere? And like there were people legitimately under the impression that in Texas, we don't have cars, we ride horses. Like all of us have horses and we ride them everywhere. And so I looked them in the eyes and I was like, yeah. And they were like, what? And then like eventually I eventually I said something because I was just so shocked by the fact that they really thought that we didn't have cars. Like, it was like Western, like, you know, like in a Western movie
Yep,
kind of
that's the
situation.
movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, I live in Dallas. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's a city.
Yeah. If you told anyone that there were huge forests in Texas, they would go, "What? But there's not in the movies. That doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense at all."
exactly. Because movies are reality.
Yeah.
All right, let me just double check. I do have okay, so you did mention that you love doing just chatting. Within just chatting, are there any, I guess, specific things that you're more excited about streaming or passionate about streaming?
Yeah, but it's not something that I felt that I've super been able to do even now. I've always wanted to have different stuff. Like that's it, to like kind of look around and go, what probably can't be done, or what is no one doing just because it's such a pain in the ass to do, but maybe worth it type of stuff. That's what I'm really most proud of more than anything is like the stupid closet stuff, right? um, I'm just super happy about doing something like that because no one else does it, and it's such a hard thing to do. Like to have everything set up correctly for it. That's my favorite part about. I guess it gives me a creative outlet that I don't normally have.
Yeah.
Like I used to be super artsy and into drawing until I had like two shit teachers in a row that just made me feel bad about myself, so I quit. And then other than that, I just haven't had a lot to go back to, even though I've dabbled in like 3D modeling for a little bit, which is fun, and other things like that. But that's what I want to take. I guess a lot of the skills that I'm learning now in school, even, and I want to expand on that a whole lot because I feel like I haven't had a lot of the. Well, I guess I haven't had a lot of the money to be able to really expand on that and do what I want to do, because there's a lot of stuff that I have ideas for where I'm like, if I could just get someone to program a backend for me that can handle everything, and other stuff. I want to do really different shit at one point. I'm just not there yet.
It also, okay, it not shocks me is the right wording for that, but like, you know, you saying like you're not able to do it yet, and like even what you have done to me is just beyond anything I can imagine. And it's always like so when I started streaming and I was telling my mom about like what kind of stuff I wanted to do, I literally was like, look at this channel. And my mom, like, she'd be like, did you see the thing that he did? And like she would message me because she was so impressed with what you were doing too. But like, I don't know, your stream has always been such a big source of inspiration for me just because of how creative you already are with it, and then the fact that like there's still so much more that you want to do. Like I can't even imagine what you have done already, so the fact that you have more that you want to do with it is super amazing. Sorry, I
No.
high-key fangirled over your stream. I still do, but for the longest time, and it was always like a point of reference for me. So
It's like inspiration comes in tiny pieces, and a lot of the time I'd either be searching for it on purpose, like literally just going through memes. TikTok I think is going to be a really valuable resource once I really get back to it. But just little bitty stuff, and sometimes stuff will just click correctly. Like for example with I built this terrarium recently out of an IKEA dresser, and I was looking at terrariums and I'm like, he's a little bit over 6 feet now.
oh my gosh.
And I was like, I need to get a bigger terrarium, and they're really fucking expensive. They're like $800. And something just clicked weirdly that I needed to gut out an IKEA dresser and build it out to be a terrarium. But it's been like that for all like the notification things and everything. I remember the dancing notification that was a plague for a little bit. I watched Soda Poppin reacting to a clip of Trainwrecks just doing a similar dance like that to the song. And I was like, yep, mine. I have to edit some stuff and do something with that and be ridiculous with it. And then same for the other song that had me popping out of the closet. I heard that song and I went, got to make something like that, because in the music video that's what's happening, and like that's what I want to recreate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why there are certain songs that I cannot hear without immediately like associating with you in your stream. It's pretty funny because I think I heard it come on the other day, or it was in Dom was scrolling through TikTok and the song played, and I was like, I can't hear it without thinking of Brandon. You've solidified your place with that with some of the songs.
It's I'm never gonna get rid of it either. It's a lot. Like it throws a lot of memories right back in my face all at once. And a lot of moments, and it's different. Nothing's ever done that before.
Yeah. What would you say is the hardest part about streaming for you? Because I feel like technically you seem to have a pretty solid understanding of everything.
Mentally, I struggle a lot with it, like horribly. It's weird. Like it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Everything's easier, like by a long shot for me, above streaming, because everything else is you do the thing. That's it. It's either a success or it's not. Like, right, you either complete or you fail. Like there's really just no middle ground. And for Twitch, you have no like real control. You have a certain amount. But being able to sometimes, I don't know, like a lot of the time, sometimes I value relationships with, people in my stream more than they value that relationship with me. And the hardest part was realizing that a lot of the time there's going to be a few people that are there that you're like complete best friends with, and they're there all the time for you. But then there's also groups of people that just constantly rotate out. And learning that I'm not friends with these people, or these people aren't really friends with me. I'm entertainment value. That hurt a lot. Like,
yeah,
it just kind of hit me out of nowhere one day, and I was like, oh no, and then that threw me back. And then the reason that I've like quit and went back to school is because whenever I was doing my best on Twitch was whenever I was dancing, right? And there's nothing wrong with people enjoying that at all. It's fun, it's great. But for a lot of people at that time, the most valuable thing that I was providing was the same 2 or 3 dances over and over again. And that made me think a lot of bad about myself. And I'm like, okay, so that's the best thing that I have to offer? Like, no conversation value, not making connections with people, not ushering friendships together between people that have like similar thinking and similar interests. And it was that, and that's ultimately what made me stop, even though I know that's not true, but that's what the numbers said, right?
Yeah.
And that's, so it makes it true in my head. Like, no one could tell me that I had more value than just that, because I could tell them, no, look at the numbers. I don't, right?
Yeah.
But I know I do. I just need to have the means to provide more, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating too, because I think the number one thing that people respond to, like, what's the hardest thing, is usually audio. But I feel like what you touch on is, which I'm trash at audio, but what you touch on I think is such a big thing, because as a streamer, I think one of the hardest things that I learned, one, was some degree of separation of stream relationships and having my own life. But then also coming to terms with that sometimes people are going to leave out of the blue and you'll never see them again. And you'll wonder forever, like, what happened? And it's one of those that, like, it's so, like, part of me is like, are you dead? Like, please tell me you're, like, I hope you're okay, kind of thing, that. But then the other part is like, did I do something? Like, was I, boring? Did I say something mean? Like, I don't, like, it's so easy to go down a mental spiral over all the little things. When in reality, it's like life happens and, people go do real life things, but it is hard.
Yeah, it's all really weird. Like, this isn't me. I don't know. Like, I don't know how to position this. There's been some people where I've had what I thought was a good relationship, right? Like a good friendship, like a good, healthy, everything's cool. But every now and then someone will kind of turn and they'll wake up and go, I'm gonna be a dickhead today. And that's a weird, like, it, you get your feelings hurt like a lot. And it's odd. That's not what I really struggle with. If somebody's gonna be stupid, they can be stupid. And that goes with a lot of the kind of what people think about me from how I present myself on stream or anything like that. It's, some people are kind of worried, like, oh, hey, what if, someone thinks I'm this way because this is what I'm doing? My response is usually, it's not your fault, they're stupid.
Yeah.
If they have an incorrect opinion of you because of something small that they heard, or because they didn't, or they saw you tweet something and they didn't understand the context, it's okay if they're upset at you because they don't know you.
Yeah,
and that's not it's not your job to convince them to love you.
It's
especially
weird.
Everyone online.
I think one of the things that I've learned over my time streaming, and I just kind of also life, is everybody sees you through the filter of their own perception, through their own subjective reality, and we all have our code of what's right and what's wrong and what's okay, or however they're feeling that day, and what you say might set them off just in that moment, and then forever that's what they're going to think about you. And it's, at the end of the day, it's a pointless thing to try to get everyone to see you as you want them to see you, or as you are. I definitely have issues with that, because I like the way that my parents raised me is always make a good impression, always be, and so then I turn that into gotta be likable, gotta be whatever, which I had to kind of throw out the door given how many people like to come through Twitch streams and just say anything they want to say. So I guess one of the cool things about Twitch is that it's also taught me to care less, especially on the internet, at least. If someone said some of that stuff to my face, different story probably.
It's a lot of, at the end of the day, I know I'm being a good person and I'm not being a dickhead to anyone, and I'm being tolerant of others, and I'm not doing wrong, so what's it to anyone else? I don't give a shit what somebody else thinks, because they think I did something wrong when I know I didn't, right?
Yeah, and I feel like most of the time when people come through stream and they're angry about something, it's usually they have something else going on in their life, or they're insecure about something on, their end of things, and they're taking it out on you because you are somebody there that they can yell at without repercussion. So
right. Yeah, I remember it was something very vivid that I still remember to this day is, my title for a while was No Simps Allowed, just as a little meme, who cares, right? It's just a joke. And then I had a no simping emote, which was great, and my favorite one that got, revoked by Twitch. But someone came in and she was immediately upset, immediately angry, just right off the bat. She went, so you don't believe in females being supported? You don't support female businesswomen? And I was like, what? And she, what are you talking about? Are you, huh? And I had to reel her back and be like, you don't understand who I'm dating and the things that I support with that. A lot of guys are going to be insecure and not support certain things, or if it's just your own choice, I understand things that you're not comfortable with your partner doing, whatever, very supportive on all things. But because I had No Simps Allowed as my title, she immediately came in firing off. And that's a lot of that's a great representation of a lot that happens on Twitch. Is it doesn't take anything for people to immediately take a stance on you sometimes. Oh yeah,
people are just ready to fight at all times. They're looking for just the right thing to start an argument about, which is dumb, but let's see. I have other streaming questions, and then I also have, just to chat, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, if you put them in chat, my mods will put them somewhere for me to ask as we go along. This one I'm actually interested to hear, because a lot of the stuff that I've heard you say about your stream is very, it's always this, but this, what do you think your strong suit is with streaming? Because I feel like you have so many, but I want to know what you feel confident in and good at because you are so talented. But I don't know how, you seem to be hard on yourself.
Thumbnails.
A valid answer, but also kind of a cop-out answer.
Yeah, I feel like that is probably my strongest suit though. Like, to be real, because if you don't get a click in, you don't get
That's fair. Yeah.
That's like, without that part, there's absolutely nothing, right? And
Yeah.
because I worked with thumbnails for 3.5, 4 years, like that was my entire life. I feel like I get that now. Like,
Okay. Yeah,
for
like
example,
the visual.
Yeah, like for example, when I was in Knoxville, and Marianne's can't bust in here because there's a lock on the door. Advice was get a second camera to show your beautiful face. And I was like, no, that's gonna be terrible. My click-ins are gonna be awful. No one wants to just click on a dude's face. That's not something to talk about. That's not something eye-catching, whatever, no matter how handsome they are. And whenever I switched to that, I immediately got a lot less interaction, a lot less people clicking in just because of that. So highly important. I think it's actually slept on, thumbnail importance.
That's true.
Like, you have great stuff going on right now. There's not really a ton that I would change, except maybe contrasting colors for lighting a little bit more. But it's all great, right?
You also have such a great understanding of like the little things that'll impact. Like, I've thought of thumbnails, but I guess not in that depth before. And it makes a lot of sense, like just understanding like the algorithm and how people kind of function and what will draw someone in. See, another strength.
Well, it's when I did so much marketing and advertising, I understood, and I failed so many times with a lot of stuff because one number wasn't correct, right? And it could be as simple as click-ins, and that made everything else that was a perfect plan fall, right? Just to give a little bit of background, I used to send people to ads on, or like websites basically, and I would get paid out by those websites per how many clicks that I got there, right? And I would send like 40 to 50,000 clicks a day from Twitter. But you would think, right, hey, if you build your own website, you write your own articles, you place your own ads, and cut out like a big middleman, you'll probably make a lot more money, right? And at this time it was making like probably $350 a day. Like, it was going well, and if you could stretch it out even more, that'd be great. And it was between me and my cousin, but we went through the entire process of building out a website. We constantly sent clicks through because the ad management company, Taboola, only works with really high traffic pages. So we had to get to one of the top like 8,000 visited websites in the US before we were even considered to be a part of the ad program with them. And then we were. And then everything was perfect. Ad click-through rate was great. Everything was absolutely gorgeous, except we were making less money. That didn't make any sense to us at all. But it was apparently just all the websites that we were spending traffic to were cheating with their ads, and were somehow getting around Google AdSense's policies of how much can be placed in certain areas. We couldn't figure it out at all. And we spent months of testing to make less money.
Oh my gosh.
So it's stuff like that, very, very small things that can absolutely destroy an entire plan. And I make sure to look over stuff like that, especially with Twitch and all kinds of other stuff. Small things hold a lot of importance, especially when it all adds up.
And I feel like that's one of the things that even just knowing and understanding it on a base level can be super beneficial, just because otherwise I feel like, especially with streaming, it's so hard to bring in new traffic a lot of the time. And like, not that there's any like, you know, like, it's not like, I appreciate the community that I have, obviously, and I like getting to hang out with them, but it's so hard to bring people, especially when I stay in the same category for the most part, you know? And so I feel like
Yeah.
most streamers are just kind of in this void of Twitch trying to like get new people to join, and you know, the algorithm doesn't always work well, and it's always kind of like a crapshoot to see if you know, some days people will come in, some days they won't.
Yeah.
But so I feel like knowing that, it's like understanding the business side of Twitch, and the more like how the best way to get yourself out there versus just getting on and doing it, which I realized
Right.
so much more time goes into streaming than just streaming. And that's something that I feel like people don't understand.
No, I think the not streaming part is almost more important than the streaming part a lot of the time, depending on where you are at viewership wise. Like there's lots of people that I see in the 10s and 20s sometimes, to where if they ever come to me for advice, I'll go, if you're having a 10 viewer stream, don't stream. Spend time working on shit that is sick as fuck until you can have a 20 viewer stream, because you're going to be insanely more discoverable, and it would be better to stream 20 hours to 20 viewers than it would 40 for 10 viewers, just because of how much floods down after that whenever it comes to discoverability. And that was my stuff for a while, was if I'm going to hit 20 viewers, I don't want to stream. I'd rather work on something, because I know it's going to be really tough to get anyone new in.
Yeah. I feel like the other hard part that I know a lot of people kind of struggle with too is when they first start streaming, they're like, how much do I like invest? How much do I, you know, like what are the starting points? And I guess one of the things that I would be interested to hear from you is, what would be your advice to someone who's just starting or relatively new to streaming? Like what do you think is the basic kind of stuff that people should do or is helpful to do when they're starting out?
Make sure you have fun. Like, really, that's the most important thing, because a lot of people buy stuff before they realize that they like it, or they invest a ton of time into it and are like, oh, this sucks. You know, there's people that, you know, get up to 200, 300 concurrents and make good money and do all the great stuff, and then they're like, I'm quitting because I don't like this.
Yeah.
And that's really tough. If we're talking like other stuff wise, I don't think it really matters at all. You know, there's people that get partnered with a tin can for a mic and a C922 that they just twirl around in the air for 6 hours. Like anything can go. You know, there's not, like, I would say a lot of what I have, it brings in positives, but it also brings negatives with it.
Yeah.
A lot of people that don't want to enjoy like this kind of content, they want to see somebody on a C922 absolutely losing their mind, or just even, I don't know, they want to see something that they're more used to on Twitch. And if you go outside of that, a lot of the time it is going to hurt you. But it'll also, like, people that I would say come into my stream and hang out with me, a lot of the time, all of them would absolutely get along, just because they're very similar.
Yeah.
And that's why I really get along with most, like, I'd say at least 95% of people. Like, I'd feel very comfortable hanging out in a Discord call and playing games, which I see for a lot of other streamers is very, it's very 50-50. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time it's because, you know, you bring in a more general audience sometimes. All of mine are usually like very same age range, very, very similar interests, right? Just, it's weird. It's a lot. And then I'll see other streams where it's like, yeah, this chatter's 40, this chatter's 12. And that's not something I've ever really had a lot of at all.
Young people don't hang out in my stream, but it's probably because I talk like a grandma sometimes. Like, but yeah, I think one of the other things that I realized that I had to stop doing was being like, okay, what do I need to stream to get people to come hang out? Or like, how do I need to come across to get people to come hang out? And I think I realized that settling into like just being me and doing what I like to do, then I end up with the people that I want to spend time with. You know, like it's not people who are there for, you know, me being I don't know, like a bubbly Minecraft player, like
Right.
and like again, if that's who people are, like more power
Yeah,
to
there's
them. But
nothing
like
wrong with it.
it's not me, so it's
Yeah,
not
you
helpful
don't.
to try and do that.
Yeah, you don't want to have to put on a face just to be able to make stuff work out, because
Yeah.
that really sucks. Like I've kind of tried stuff like that before to see if I could put on a face and that become real based on how the stream was going. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't
Yeah.
work for me. I lose that energy so fast a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Streaming hard. And that's why right now, like, I'm either gonna do it or I'm gonna not. Because if I stream right now, after, months off and on, I'll stream and then it'll do poorly and then I'll get sad. And then I won't stream again. And then I'll stream and then it'll do poorly and I'll get sad. And
Yeah.
I'll just keep not doing it. And that like start streaming button will get harder and harder to press every time. And I think it's probably just best if I, continue taking a step back, work on some cool shit, and then once I have the time to do it consistently, I can go, hey, stuff's slow right now, miss all my homies. It'll get better because I'm going to keep doing it consistently with way more information than I had before,
Yeah. And I feel like once you get stuff that you're also excited about, like working with and doing and having on stream, I feel like that in itself will also be, I don't know, a motivating factor to get to kind of mess with it and see it in action.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I completely understand. Like I think one of the other things that I had to learn to do is turn off numbers, not look at how many people are on at any given time, because I get way too in my head. And now my issue is I just keep thinking about numbers that I did for Bean's stream versus every other stream that I do on a daily basis. So I lose value if I don't sit in a pool of beans.
Right. See, and that's where like you still get in your own head. Like, out of all of the great and like highly intellectual conversations that I've had, beans in a tub, that was the peak. Like that's a rough thing, and you can't think that. Like you can't. It's not your value. I feel like I had something. I don't know. I'm gonna get a drink real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Out of water. Okay, I'll be right back.
Everybody incoming with beans comments. You guys, just know it's never happening again. It was disgusting to clean up. Like, I did it. I refuse to do that again. It was such an ordeal. Why did you do that? I told everyone that if we got 400 subs in a month, then I would do a bean stream. And I didn't think we would actually do that. And then semicolons came in and it's like, you don't think we're gonna do it? And made it happen. So, like, it was a funny experience, and it's definitely a memory. No, I'll do a pool of Orbeez because the cleanup on that sounds easier and it sounds kind of fun. Beans are less fun. They felt weird.
Did you say semicolons?
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. I think he gifted probably 400 to 500 subs when I was dancing, which equates to, hours of straight dancing. No, super awesome. Really supportive. It's great.
Yeah.
Like
the best kind of troll,
Yeah, no, and it's, and you see a goal that you set up, right? And you're not going to do it again, and you know that.
Yeah.
And I know what I'm not going to do again, but at the same time, it's really a struggle of like, that did really well though. That did really well, and it also bought me longevity on the platform to make sure I don't have to go get a job. And that's a heavy fucking weight.
Yeah.
Right? To where it goes, hey, I can either do this and keep streaming and fuck up my mental health, but maybe get lucky enough to find a little gem along the way that lets me keep doing it, or I can quit and go get a job.
Yeah, that's been my biggest thing right now.
It's scary.
Because I know that streaming can't be a full-time job for me, just how I'm doing currently. Like, I make money from it and it's helpful, but it's not enough to pay bills and it's not enough to pay rent. And like, it's one of those, and then that's a hard balance, because then I won't have the energy to stream. So then I won't stream as much, and then that'll go down. And
then why even stream? Everyone's gone now.
Yep.
That's the absolute scariest thing, which is why I have such a cutoff with stuff of like, no, I'm just not going to do it, is when your stream fails, no one's there to see it fail.
Yeah.
And that's spooky as shit.
Yeah. That I got like my stomach dropped a little bit when you said that, because it's true, because everybody, well, it's like people have moved on, or they'll find someone else who's consistent. Yeah. Like
and again, it's not on them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They're just looking for people to hang out with. And it's, I think, one of the most terrifying things. Like, that's why I don't like to ever take breaks. When I take breaks, I feel bad about it. And I'm scared, because I'm like, people are going to leave. They're not going to come back, or they're going to find someone else to go. And
there's, once again, I look at numbers all the time. For the majority of Twitch, you take a break, stuff doesn't go well. Right. And for even like out of almost anyone I know on Twitch, Marian's like the outlier, right? To where even she, feels super like freaked out and afraid to take a break. But I've noticed like the past 6 breaks she's taken, and I tell her this every time before she streams again, I'm gonna go, you're gonna come back and you're gonna have an absolute killer stream that's gonna completely make up for every day you took as a break. And it happens every single time. And it's just crazy. And then the same thing goes for her success whenever it comes to viewership, is she is the outlier of didn't have to accidentally pop off on some other platform, right? Didn't have to go get lucky on live stream fails and get exposure that way. For her stuff, it was switching over to mornings and then being a consistent home for people on Twitch. And then that was it. Like, it took care of itself. Like, she is the outlier statistically on so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's where I recognize outliers a lot of the time, and I try to pick stuff from it. Sometimes it's very difficult. Like, for example, you say, I mean, if you don't mind, what's your average viewership, do you think?
I mean, it's hard, because I was going up for a bit and I was getting close to like getting around 30, 40, but I think it's probably dropped back between like 20 to 25 average.
Yeah. So let's see. There's a guy that I know that I met my first 6 months streaming, right? That is an outlier and was like an inspiration for me in a sense. And he averages 30 viewers, right? Streams probably 120, 130 hours a month, full time, constantly at over 1,000 subs for, let's see, months and months and months, for years, constantly at 1,000 subs. So just because you think your viewership isn't there to support full time, there's key things that you could pick up from others that maybe incorporate into what you would love to do, because that's the whole importance of it, right? Is it has to fit with you still.
Yeah.
You're not going to go sit in a tub of beans for the rest of eternity to make shit work. And it's great that you draw all those boundaries and lines, because I didn't, and it hurt me emotionally, not like physically. So he's an outlier, and it's crazy to see. But I always like to see stuff like that happen on Twitch. It's really interesting to see people completely break every normal box that you would expect to be a statistic, and it's extremely rare. Sometimes you can piece together why it happens, sometimes you can't.
Sometimes it's just like right place, right time. Everything was working in their favor, kind of thing. I'm fortunate in that. So like knowing McLovin, he knows a decent amount about stuff, and he knows streaming, and he helped me build my computer.
A lot of very niche areas. I love talking to McLovin.
Yeah, and that's been absolutely like a benefit. He's super, even though he has his own stuff to do sometimes, and we won't talk for months, like it'll always be one of those. He'd be like, "Hey, did you hear about this? Like, you should do this," and like. That's helpful to me. I know sometimes it's not stuff that I would necessarily feel comfortable doing, because if you throw me into a big group of streamers, I immediately feel like I'm an imposter and I like don't belong there. So like big group events, I can't like.
I might be able to help you with just a little bit of information about that. That might make you feel better. Most bigger streamers have no fucking clue what's going on. Like, really. I mean that so genuinely. And it's not that, they're doing something bad or they're dumb. That's not it. It's just what happened for them happened. And that's it. You can't go, hey, what's the secret sauce? Like, what do you got? What genuine advice do you have as someone that averages 10,000 concurrents? Sometimes they're very, I don't like talking super bad about people, but someone that averages like 10K I got to meet, and he's just he's dumb. He's not a nice guy, and he's dumb. And you think they are extremely smart, and don't put that value on people when sometimes they don't have it. Like the most valuable people to me streaming a lot of the time were very small streamers, and I saw them do extremely smart stuff. Other things just didn't line up for them, right? And like for the same thing as me, a lot of the time mentally it was just tough. Or the communities that they were a part of shaped Twitch for them, because that's like what Twitch is for us, right? Is 15, 20 other streamers and all of their friends. And like I think we have like a really great group of people that's super awesome. Everybody's really cool, and there's no like shitty stuff going on. But then there's other people that get wrapped into communities of 15, 20 people, and they're all really shitty, and it sucks. And they have a hard time getting away from that even, and they quit because of it. Yeah, don't put value on other streamers just because.
I just assume everybody has their life together and they know what they're doing.
Absolutely fucking not. Not even close. Nowhere. No.
Yeah, I think it's the imposter syndrome every day. Every time I get on stream, it's just like they know I'm a fraud. Like they know that I.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I know it's something I got to work on, because I think also then it's not necessarily like Instagram, but I liken it to like you present yourself how you want to be perceived, kind of thing. So like if you're on stream and you want to look like you know what you're doing, you're not gonna be like, I am a mess, I don't know what's going on anymore, and like you're gonna be like, oh yeah, like I've got my shit together, I've got all these things going on for me. And it's so easy to be like, well, they've got all these events planned, people are reaching out to them to do stuff, and I have nothing.
Sponsors, like it just so much adds up, right? To where you see all of their social media stuff, their Instagram, their Twitter, and then on Twitch, damn, that's who they are. That's them right there. And that's not it. That's why, like, when I stream, I'm like, I know a lot of my stuff isn't shit. Like, I know I don't have much going on. Like, my responsibility-wise, I'm not really an adult. Shit's all over the place. I have no idea what's going on with my life. I'm going back to community college, sitting in a metal box and gluing metal together with hot metal in 90-degree weather and dying because I don't have my shit figured out, and I probably won't for a really long time. But I do have certain things that I think I have confidence in, right? I kind of know what I like. I understand what I enjoy. I've pinged on so many jobs and tried out so many things and haven't been afraid of trying really, really different shit in life until I figure out where I kind of lie.
Yeah.
but I don't have shit together.
I don't know.
At all.
I feel like it's also important as a streamer to be like that too, because I think that as a viewer, it can be so easy to build up these expectations of who people are or how people are, and I guess even for the people who aren't like personas per se, like a character, you know, if you don't share everything, like I don't know, I feel like it's harder for people to see streamers as like real people, even though I feel like most of us are, you know, it's like I wouldn't consider most streamers to be like celebrities, but it's still like that because there's like the distance there. You know, you see them on a monitor, you watch them.
Right.
And so it's like this weird, I don't know, I feel like you're at this weird crossroads of being like a celebrity and a person. So then if you don't present issues or like seem like you have nothing bad going on, then it's like, well, this is a real person who doesn't have XYZ.
Yeah. So a lot of what you don't say can like be perceived, right?
Yeah.
Just because like if I didn't openly go, no, I have a lot of debt and I'm really broke, right? People would go, no, look at him, he's got like his finances together, everything's great, you know, I help people out, you know, figuring out credit score stuff, because that's the one thing I have going for me, is I have a great credit score, but everything else is like completely awful. Right. And people could assume that I've got my shit together, but I don't, and that goes for, you know, all the streamers. You've been to a TwitchCon, right?
I haven't. I was gonna go. I almost went. What was it? 2019. I had just started streaming in July, and so it was happening so soon that I was like, I can't go yet because I don't know anything. And then I was gonna do 2020, and
you gotta go.
I know. I want to so badly. Like,
it's the best. That's honestly one of the biggest reasons that I want to keep streaming is because of TwitchCon. When I went, I was averaging like 20s to 30s, right? But every 10 steps I took, I got to see somebody that I knew.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't like it wasn't a, oh, hey, I'll see you there type of thing, because most of the people I don't interact with that often, right? They're the people that come through stream maybe once a month, right? But every few steps you'd get a, hey, Brandon. And it was the coolest thing to be able to meet people back to back like that. But at the same time, what you were saying earlier was you're right between that line of being celebrity stuff and looked up to, even though you might not feel like you should be looked up to at all. And then meeting a bunch of your friends, and it's hard to tell what other people see whenever it comes to that sometimes. When at the end of the day, a lot of the time I'm just, hey, we're homies.
Yeah.
Please don't think anything else of it.
Yeah.
And I've, you know, I have a lot of people in my community that I go to for advice a lot, because I think they're really smart, and I like them. And every now and then someone will be like, hey, you know, this is me coming from you as a viewer that I really like your content and I think you're cool as shit. Where they recognize that relationship when I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
So their opinions and views can be skewed a bit, and they recognize that and say it, and I'm like, oh, well, don't do that. Because it's not that serious. And it's weird. It's all odd. I never expected to be here.
Yeah.
Right?
The relationships and the way that everything forms, like, no, I feel like there's nothing that can prepare you for that. Like, you think about streaming, and then you do it, and then the way that like your relationships form with people, and the way like, I don't know, the way that they are, like everything's a little bit different. Like,
yep.
Even dating, like meeting someone through streaming is the weirdest, like, also because you don't know what's real, what's not, is this persona kind of thing. Like, and then it's like you don't want to overstep. You know, it's like, I don't know if you're being nice to me on your stream because you're streaming kind of thing, or, and then I personally was also afraid of, because as a female streamer, you get a lot of people who feel entitled to your time, or, you know, they think that because you've spent a lot of time on their stream, or they've spent a lot of time on your stream and stuff, that means that you're, you know, fated to whatever. So I feel like the relationship dynamics can be very complicated.
So I don't know if you know this, but you typically get either hit on or advances from more just viewers, right? Not typically streamers constantly. But on my end, it was female streamers, and that's it.
Interesting.
Not a username, right? Not just a person that doesn't create content on the platform. It was always someone that was constantly on the platform creating content. And I didn't realize how much of that was going on between a lot of the relationships that I had with female streamers until I started dating Marianne and realized a lot of them just dipped, or were even upset about something like that happening. And I just saw it all at once, because I don't hit on people online. It's not my thing. I understand what lady streamers go through, and it's a lot, and I'm just never going to be that person. And that's why I didn't DM Marianne back for a lot of the time. Was I was like, this, I kind of have feelings for this person, but I don't want to overstep that. I'm just going to be friendly. Even if I have feelings, just going to be friends. Like, there's not going to be a single thing that I do to make that a misunderstanding, right? But because of that, even the way that I interact and I'm usually friendly and helpful with people, just because I genuinely want to be, it gets misunderstood as something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it is for dudes on Twitch.
I was gonna say it's definitely, I'm sure, different, because I bet there's a lot less of the I don't know, anonymous chatter kind of thing. Well, I just feel like it's so saturated with men predominantly on the platform, right. I think, as viewers. Yeah. But have there ever, so I guess then you wouldn't have had, because like from like female perspective, I've had people be like angry DM being like, I donated blah, 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 and you don't even do this or whatever. So I guess it wouldn't be kind of the same dynamic, or it's just more a matter of communicating and responding with people. Because also I think it's easier for people who aren't streaming to say whatever they want and be however they want, because they can just go make another account.
It's usually just or it was usually just oh hey, I'm gonna come into your stream and maybe be a little flirty, and then add you on one of your socials and send you nudes out of nowhere.
There are people who do that.
Yep. That's, you'd never expect it.
I would never. I'm also just like a grandma and a 2-year-old at the same time. I'm both just old and overly not like optimistic. I don't know. I was raised in Texas in a Christian environment. Since moved out of it, but I still feel there are still moments where I'm shocked by things. Which coming to Twitch was you learn a lot really quickly. Especially the fact that I know so little about internet meme culture still. I do have a question here in the Discord. Dom asked, you mentioned work on Twitter. Did you work on Twitter? If so, can you expand on what you did? I know you talked a little bit about some of it.
Long story short, met a guy when I worked at Apple in high school. He was cool. His name was Brandon. He had was making a lot of money moves, not entirely legal stuff all the time. But without saying a lot, I did stuff with him and made some money in high school, and it was really cool. And then it ended. Nothing bad happened. Then I went and worked in oil and gas. Life was absolutely miserable. Girlfriend that I had at the time, it was absolute shit. It was crazy. I couldn't get away, right? It was like 4 or 5 different breakups, and like I'd been cheated on 2 or 3 times, and I couldn't get away. And one day the guy that I worked at Apple with, which he could trust me and knew that I was cool with stuff, I knew how to get shit done, came to me and was like, yo, you want to move to LA? And I was like, what? And he showed me the Twitter stuff he was doing, which was buying meme pages, right? Parody accounts, whatever it was, and running ads. And that's it. Like, that's absolutely it. It was, you buy a page, you work with artists, advertisers, small businesses. You send clicks, whatever it was, you do that. You can do app downloads, anything. And I was like, yeah, let's go. So I left within 24 hours. And I remember I told this story to my hairdresser yesterday. But I was sitting at a Steak and Shake with my girlfriend at the time. And I told her, yeah, I'm moving to California tomorrow. And she just giggled and just thought it was, for some reason, a very hilarious joke, like way funnier than it should be. I assume because of how serious I was saying it. And it took me 15 minutes to convince her that I was leaving. And then we broke up when I left that night. But yeah, so buying a ton of Twitter accounts and then running ads. That's it. It was such a simple process that was highly profitable. You could see your return usually in 45 days, right? If you spent $3,000 on an account, you had to make sure all your math was right. You had to get a live tweet on the account and then check the impressions after an hour. And then that would give you a base price of how organic it was, right? The whole time you're watching who's retweeting it, making sure no one big is giving it any impressions that it normally wouldn't get, because you're not going to get any retweets on ads, right? So you have to base it off those impressions. And we'd usually give a little over $1,000 per 10,000 impressions within the first hour. So if you got 30,000 impressions, you got $3,000. We'd make that back in 45 days, kind of no problem. And then the account would continue spitting out money, right?
Dang.
And the market was so unknown, to be honest. And I learned how to run accounts with like maximum efficiency, scheduling out 24 ads a day, 30 pieces of content. Like I've probably tweeted over 600, 700,000 times on tons of different accounts within my time on Twitter. And you just continued that process because the people that owned the meme pages are like 17, 18-year-old kids. And I was 19 at the time. But I had a little bit of a better handle on what was going on. And I ended up spending, me and my cousin together, there's a whole lot of stuff that happened in California with it and like crazy things. But me and my cousin ended up spending a little bit over $80,000 on Twitter accounts, on 27 different Twitter accounts, which ended up having, millions of followers and a ton of reach, to where when we went crazy with one account because we had a very special deal with them for Twitter's ad program that pays higher CPMs than YouTube actually does for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-second content. It's absolutely insane. Twitter's a failing company because they charge ridiculous prices for their advertisers. But that's where people like me came in, right? To fuck Twitter and them charging so much to where it's not profitable for anyone to advertise on their website like it is for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, kind of, I guess. I don't know how profitable it is. But that's what I did. And then they all got suspended and I got like a full IP ban for all the accounts in one day.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. But I have it as my dumb Facebook profile header. But whenever I did work with the one account, we got 126.6 million impressions in 16 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was the highest, like, that we pushed everything out. If I had that now, and with what I know now, which my monetization strategy said I understand, I'd be a king, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Because I had some of the biggest not safe for work accounts on Twitter that would get, thousands of retweets per photo, and they were just asses mostly. Could you imagine working with creators that are on sites like OnlyFans?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, today that would be.
Yeah, and back then that wasn't really a thing. It wasn't something that people really did. Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't even know that whole side of things was a thing to begin with.
No one did. That's why the market was just so easy to absolutely dominate so fast.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous. to where me and my cousin Devin at the time, we were in a house scraping every penny together. Like we would go down to the shitty gas station in the shitty town because they would sell their chicken all in a box at night for like $2, everything that they had left over, because we saw your return on investment was just absolutely insane. So why not just keep throwing everything into it? No fun, no food, investing the money because there's nothing better. And then it all got taken away. But it was a fun ride. Learned a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, again, like the skills and stuff and like just the insight that you got from doing that, I think is something that is a beneficial skill to have, you know, later. So you said that you got like an IP ban and everything was kind of taken at once. Is that when you moved out of doing that?
Well, I had to.
Well, I mean,
there was
not that there was a ton of option.
There wasn't at that point, and even now, it's not something that's worth restarting just because of how it's become more familiar. And that's
it was just
like,
kind of the right time that you were there.
Yeah, the years were perfect. And you know, if I could redo it, I would, but I can't. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, it was fun.
One question that I do want to get to that I have like a list of questions that I don't really always pull from, because I'm like, if conversation's going naturally, like that's kind of how I prefer, because I feel like it's more interesting that way and just kind of to go down tangents. But there's one that I'm always really fascinated to hear about. My mom actually gave it to me. She works in HR, but she's like, I always ask people. She told me that I needed to ask this, and I ended up really, really enjoying it as a question. But you can answer it as vaguely or specifically as you like. But what's your story?
How deep we going?
However deep you were comfortable with. Like,
okay. I was born in a town of 600 people. I was there until second grade. A lot of hunting, a lot of fishing, a lot of really, really redneck stuff. Like my dad's side of the family was extremely broke. Like they super grew up on welfare, and then I was the generation that was doing like a little bit better. Like they were doing just the tiniest bit better, like barely, just by a little smidge. So really broke. And third grade, moved to a different town because my aunt was really taking care of me a lot because she had her shit together, but my dad didn't at all. But he moved away to get away from that controlling stuff. And that's where shit kind of hit the fan. And he started doing really bad drug stuff, super bad alcohol things. At this point, I'm in third grade, going to school every day, like just crying for absolutely no reason. And it's weird. And everyone at school thinks it's weird. And I just can't cope. Then my mom got custody of me. She lived in downtown Houston, like downtown Houston. She's maybe maybe my age right now, maybe younger.
Oh my gosh.
At the time that this happens. And we're in super shitty apartments in Houston forever. And I'm worrying about shit in fifth grade that a kid shouldn't be worrying about because of all the stuff that kind of happened with my dad. And then she ended up, working her way up with job stuff and accounting a bit. And she ended up marrying, had a good chunk of money, and we made it like over to Sugar Land. And then I was able to go. She was putting me through a private school in fifth grade, by the way, like a Catholic private school when we're not really religious. And that was weird for me too, because it was another thing that like I didn't belong with that group of people, and it was weird. And then so fifth grade was a different school, and then sixth grade was another Catholic school, which again, it was weird because a lot of the people that were going there had a lot of money. We definitely didn't, and it was very easy to see that based on everyone at sporting events. Like it was super obvious. And then high school happened. I worked and got addicted to money. like super bad, to where it went from, working at a movie theater to Chick-fil-A to Vans to Apple to a shitty salving company that paid more, but it was super shitty, to oil and gas to Twitter. And then Twitter helped me realize that money wasn't shit. All that mattered was I was happy. I don't know. It was kind of, I just ended up here. I do, travel. I traveled a lot on my way to LA, and I was in Vegas for like 2 months because I got stuck there because it was so great. And I met a lot of people and had a lot of really good times. And then San Diego at the same time. And then LA was just, I learned a lot. And then I came back, tried to figure life stuff out, went through a lot of jobs again, between then working at a gas station and a pool table company. I trained dogs for a good year, food delivery stuff here and there. I went to school for web development after Twitter stuff fell out because it was like a no risk thing. And that's right when I started streaming. I feel like there's not a lot that I didn't hit on.
Yeah, I feel like you've done such a wide array of things, like that you can go from like Apple Store to oil and gas to Twitter to dogs. Like so also, I don't know, I feel like that's also really cool just because you have so much more of an idea of like what you like, what you don't like, kind of like what you said, like because you have the experience to back it up.
I've never been afraid to just jump into something new.
Yeah.
I've just never had that what the fuck's gonna happen, probably nothing. Shit suck right now, yeah, well, shit might suck later too. It might suck if you do the thing, it might not. You don't know. You might hate whatever it is. I hated web development. I went to school for web development for 6 months, and then I was like, this fucking sucks. It sounded cool on paper, but my god, is this terrible. And that's when streaming kind of picked up at the same time. So I quit and just disappeared. And they still email me every month about income share agreements, because that's what it was priced off of. Like, it wasn't something you paid for. So I got a lot of information for free. The stipulation was I had to make over $50,000 a year in the web development field before I pay them anything. So free school for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why I did it. No risk there at all. What do you have to lose? Nothing. You make $50K a year in Texas, you're killing it.
Oh,
you're fine. Yeah, and then with welding, no, I absolutely love welding, by the way. It's awesome. Haven't found something like that I enjoyed as much as I do now. But I watched YouTube videos for like 2 months, maybe, every day for like 4 or 5 hours a day about welding. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do that. That'll be it.
It's just something that you kind of decided that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I'm on the opposite end of things where I overthink things. So I'm like, what are all the possible things that could happen if I go and do this? Like, I think through every possible terrible thing that could happen.
It's not that deep.
Yeah.
Like, there's not that much. Like, one of my friends now, he's like, how are you not worried about stuff all the time? And I'm like, shit doesn't work out. A lot of stuff just fails miserably, and that happens, and it's going to continue to happen. You have to keep trying shit, because you don't know if you're going to like stumble upon something really magnificent.
Yeah.
And just, you're going to roll into it. You're not going to think about it for years and then do it and find that's not how it works. You got to jump around with stuff.
Yeah. The thing that you said that I need to write down is just something like, it was along the lines of like, yeah, things are terrible now, but they could be terrible later too. So, you might as well just, I feel like I'm kind of, I've fallen in this like middle thing of like, I've been doing streaming, but I want to do acting, but nothing is happening there. So I feel like it's a really good opportunity to just try a little bit of everything. Just figure stuff out. But I feel like it's I appreciate your perspective, and I feel like it's something that I needed to hear just to kind of get me out of that infinite void that is my mind sometimes.
You don't have control over a lot. You have control over a little, right?
Yeah.
So just fuck with that, you know? The only thing you really have control over is like your body. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? If that's what I've figured out, and that's what I've kind of been using lately as a like post of stability. Is I can go to the gym.
Yeah.
And that's it. No one has any control over that. There's no outside sources that are going to affect that whatsoever. I can make it and I can eat. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, other than that, everything's whatever.
Yeah. I do see there are 2 questions in the Discord right now. I have some other ones that my mods ask every time, but I'll do those after. So,
Okay.
7 Up 9 Down says, and I quote, "Question for handsome famous celebrity Brandon: how are you
7 Up.
really? P.S. Miss you."
How am I really?
Yeah.
Oh, terrible. Yeah. Pretty awful. For the most part. Like, welding is great. And I love it. I don't like how I'm learning because we're just going through positions over and over and over and over again. There's no projects, there's nothing huge there. It's extremely frustrating sometimes, like horribly frustrating. I've never been so frustrated with something in my entire life, because usually it's just, okay, you push harder and you win, right? That's not this at all. It's, you're doing well. Okay, you're a little frustrated. Okay, now you're fucking up really bad. Oh shit, everything's horrible and you're worse than when you started. And it's just a constant thing. Other than that, pretty bad. I don't know what's fun for me. Like, in general, I don't know what's fun right now at all. There's nothing that I get out and do. I don't have groups of friends here in Austin that I hang out with on a regular basis. All the stuff that I enjoy seems really out of reach constantly. Like my Jeep, for example, I really want to work on it, and go to like car meets and little Jeep to get-togethers and meet some friends. But it's been in the shop for 9 months, and who the fuck knows when it's going to be out. I don't know what I want to do when I finish school for stuff. I want to come back to stream, but it constantly feels like I can't, right? And I don't know what life I should be planning for right now, because whenever I get my associates, I could go, work 50-hour week, 50, 60-hour week, depending on where I get a job. I can go make 80 grand out of school being a weld inspector, or I could really just enjoy welding a lot, and I could go, do custom car parts and exhaust and headers and intakes. And like, a little bitty piece of a dream right now that I have that I really want to make happen is import a small key truck from Japan and use it to show off all of my abilities welding, take it to car meets, have a small side business doing pieces for people, because I have my resume on a little vehicle. And there's another part that's, well, maybe I could just make enough money to put a solid investment into Twitch and have a barn dominium and have a giant garage where I can do absolutely whatever the fuck I want and build some really stupid shit and actually make a difference on the platform. There's just so much. I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea what's going to work out. I have no clue. And that's terrible, but I'll make it.
Yeah, it's I think one of the things that's hard sometimes too is when you have so many options, like that in itself. I feel like, especially when it's like from one offshoot, like, right, you have a lot of options, like getting your degree, what you can do with it. I feel like it's one of those, like, hopefully you'd be able to try different things if you don't like, one thing or another, but
yeah, for sure.
It's just kind of like making the first step out of that. Like, what's the right move, or what's, like, also what's going to make you the happiest? Like, which thing is going to ultimately be the best for your mental health?
Yeah, I don't.
Nobody knows.
I could do well on Twitch and hate my life. Right.
Yeah.
I could have a 9 to 5 and absolutely love it. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm like trying to do is, I put on like 25 pounds in the past 6 months, and I really want to do really stupid cosplays. Right? It's just something I want to try out. I'll probably, honestly, chances are I'll hate it and it'll be absolutely terrible, and I won't want to do it at all, and I'll just give up. But there's a chance that it could go super, super well, and that I could absolutely love it, and it could be the best thing ever. But we'll see when we get there.
Yeah. Oh, 7 Up 9 Down also said, okay, this is a question, but it's written as a statement, but there's a question mark at the end. They said story from shopping mall and yelling, and then in parentheses, he was very brave then.
Wait, story from shopping mall and yelling?
Yes, that's the question, followed by that you were very brave then. I don't know if that's an inside joke or
I'm not in that's that one. That I don't know. Story from shopping mall and yelling. I have no clue. I would need more context to have an understanding.
They said in chat it's not jokes, so I don't. If you'd like to provide more context, he was mad at a lady because she did something wrong. Is the context?
There was like a Walmart experience in Knoxville where a lady was like really racist. Is that it? I don't feel like many people have heard that. I don't really talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I don't. They just said that MJ told him a couple of times.
Oh.
They said that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There was a super old lady. God, Tennessee's so racist. Holy shit. Like, I understand Texas gets a bad rap, but Tennessee's way worse.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was hoping, I don't know. It wasn't. Super old lady. Like Granny Smith baking cookies at home is how you would picture her, right? There was this lady on the phone and she was talking to her family, not in English. And the lady just walks by and goes, "Speak English." And it just caught me so off guard, like in the worst way.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I stopped her and talked to her, and I was like, why would you do that? And she's like, they would expect us to speak their language in their country. I'm like, this is her country. And if you were in where she's from, they wouldn't expect you to speak their language. They would be accommodating. And then she just argued with me, and I was like, you're just really fucking stupid. I don't know what's wrong with you. And then I went to the lady that was on the phone, and I went to like tell her like, hey, I'm so sorry that happened. She had no idea anything happened at all. She like didn't even hear the lady. So weird, so odd.
Ugh. Yeah, stuff like that is always just, it's when you see someone do, like, I know that there are people like that, but to see someone actively do it and have no regard or sense that like it's not okay,
yeah,
it always floors me.
No one has told them to stop, or they're just comfortable in that environment doing some weird shit.
Yeah,
which
like,
is just odd. Yeah. I've been very lucky to be a, bigger, tall guy in public situations, so I've never had a problem with anyone ever. Like, there's just never been an issue. I've never felt uncomfortable. I've never felt unsafe. I've never felt threatened by anyone. To where, on the other hand, Marianne's the exact opposite, right? And we had a conversation recently where I was like, if something happens in public, you just tell me. What the fuck is somebody gonna do? I've never had an issue ever. And I think there's a big reason for that. And I don't ever really expect to. It's just a lot of people don't have that same privilege of no one's. I almost got robbed once in LA, but I made it really awkward until my Uber got there and I left. And it was really weird.
How do you make that, like, I'm interested to know how you made someone robbing you awkward.
I was living out of my backpack. Like that was everything because I had bought a motorcycle at the time, but I was taking an Uber over to the dentist because I had like an infection under my lower teeth and it was just horrible. And I knew I'd have to get an Uber on the way back. Like I wouldn't be able to ride my motorcycle. And I was in Anaheim, where I was staying at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was in Anaheim, just on a random block outside of an apartment complex. And I had an Uber because all I did was Uber for the most part, because at that time I promoted my Uber code so much on Twitter that I had like 200 free $20 rides.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Sometimes if I had a longer ride, the Uber driver would stop and then start for me just so it would like be free still. But I called an Uber and then I put my phone in my pocket and I was just standing there. And a guy came up to me and like tried to be intimidating and was like, yo, give me your phone and your wallet. I was like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, give me your phone and your wallet. And I was like, dude, I'm out here just like you. I don't have either of those things. And then he was like, I saw you. And he didn't like get physical or anything. He was just like it seemed like he was pretending like he had a gun. Right?
Yeah.
I was weird. Like it was weird for me to get robbed out of nowhere. But at the same time, I had everything in my backpack.
Yeah.
Everything that I owned. If that shit's gone, I'm screwed. I'm in LA alone. I don't know anybody. And the Uber driver pulled up and then the guy like backed away. And then I just got in the Uber and left. It was weird.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, those are, I mean, thankfully, like it wasn't one of those where they got like immediately, you know, physical or aggressive about it. But yeah.
It was the middle of the day.
Yeah, that's one of those that
I don't know. Any other time that I feel like weird about a situation or like I feel like I'm walking in a shady neighborhood or anything like that, I just act weird though. Like obviously odd. One of my favorite lines is I'm gonna fuck up those pancakes. Like you really speak that to yourself and just have a presence about you and nobody talks to you. You're crazy.
To be fair, if I walked by someone who was telling themselves that they were gonna fuck up pancakes, I probably wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would just kind of like steer clear.
You'd be worried. Right?
Yeah, I would be concerned.
Yeah, any sane person would be concerned because they don't think you're sane, and you're good. You're safe.
Oh my God. Yeah. Good note for avoiding potentially dangerous situations. I'm gonna fuck up those pancakes.
That's it.
Let's see. In the Discord, Cowboy asked. I'll start with the second thing that he asked first. Why is Cowboy the best command on your channel and possibly all of Twitch?
So, do you know about the Cowboy command?
I heard about it a while ago. I don't entirely remember.
So, if someone does Cowboy, Cowboy asked to get banned in my stream for so long.
I remember this. Yes.
Yeah. If someone does Cowboy, pretty confident he just came up with it and it's amazing. But it randomly times out a person. Wait. Oh, sorry. Video stopped and it scared me. But it randomly times out a person between 1 and 10 minutes.
Just it'll pick someone at random.
No, it'll pick whoever says it.
Oh, okay. So whoever does the command?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of times where chat and myself have convinced people to randomly do Cowboy themselves. So it's like that's a self thing.
That's
fantastic.
I like
it. Yeah.
I feel like that's really fun because also then you have no idea how long. And I feel like it's a testament to Cowboy for sure. That's definitely the energy because I think that he ended up getting modded because, well, for one, he would always troll trolls when they came in chat, but like,
Yeah.
you know, the energy that I got from his, he would always mess with me too, or because I was very strong on the like no compliment thing for when I was streaming early on, and so he would always go and do the opposite, and he's like, "Is that good?" And I'm like, "Perfect, thank you."
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting modded because of it, so I feel like that's just like that's his energy.
Yeah.
And then the other question that he asked was, what do we all have in common besides our genes that makes us human? This is a completely different route of thought. That's an intense question.
I mean, everyone. I honestly think there's really hardly anything that everyone shares, because there's people that, have no empathy
Yeah.
and like are missing a lot of key, what you would say are human elements. I'd say nothing else. Honestly, unless we like get down into organs.
Yeah.
But there's, at the end of the day, it's just not really anything that.
It's like you would hope that everybody has empathy, but there are people who just do not.
Yeah, like that's just not a thing. You would hope there's like everyone seeks a sense of community, but there's some people that just aren't built like that. They don't. It's just nothing. I'd say in general, most of us share that, right?
Yeah.
Like most of us share. I think now a lot you see people needing to feel wanted or heard, or I don't know, just the need to be appreciated. Like that's something that goes with a lot of people, and or the need to, people that even have absolutely the bare amount of emotions, the need to feel recognized, right?
Yeah.
Tends to go with a lot.
I feel like a lot of like the idea of connecting with people, but like in like a genuine sense of being seen for who you actually are, and being also accepted for who you actually are, outside of like social masks, and outside of what you feel like you have to do, because I feel like most people have that somewhere inside of them, whether they are like cognizant of it or not, like that side of them that they maybe don't share with anybody. Because I feel like everybody, whether we mean to or not, there are certain things that we will always keep to ourselves. Like, it's the like deep dark secrets that, if people knew, then, whatever. So I feel like there's a big part of, again, that also would require, I don't know if empathy necessarily is that, but like, I guess even sociopathic narcissists do require some sense of validation, though.
Yeah, that's what got me onto that. Was like, if someone has nothing, they typically still seek validation from others or recognition.
Even if it's not like love, it's like that they're intelligent enough, or that they're,
And I think that's something kind of odd that spans over everyone. I couldn't imagine a person going, "Oh no, absolutely not. No one. I need no one's respect whatsoever, or no one's recognition, or no one's appreciation," right? That's a different one.
Yeah.
And I don't think animals give a shit about that. And I think that might be something that makes us all human.
Oh yeah. Interesting. I've never thought about that question. Cowboy has never asked that question before.
I didn't think it was gonna get that deep.
Yeah, no, I was, because I saw the cowboy command, and I was like, the answer, the conclusion that you came to makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I feel like that's a solid one.
Yeah. Okay. Then there are 3 questions that not nearly as deep, but are asked every time. First, what is your forever food? Like, if you can only have one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh God. I'm really terrible with this because I rotate favorites out on like a bi-weekly basis to where I have obsessions. Chili. Like the canned wolf chili.
Okay.
That's it. That's
interesting.
It's fantastic. I love it. I will always go back to it, and I will cook it in a single serving pot and then that's what I will eat it out of, and it's great.
I've never been much of a chili person, so
What is your go-to foods usually?
I'm kind of the same way that you are. Like I have a tendency to go overkill on something when I'll like it, and then I'll have it way too much and then burn out on it. I'll eventually, it's like one of those, eventually down the line I'll probably cycle back to it, but I burn out on it because I'll eat it too much. My go-to for like forever food is, it's my way of like circumnavigating the system, is like to say sushi, because there's such a variety.
Yeah. That's cheating. That's cheating.
It is absolutely cheating.
Yeah, I'd say same. I can gorge myself to death anytime, but it's because it's usually expensive and I don't do it anytime.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything that I would say like one specific food. I mean, like, I don't know. I could say like noodles and pasta, but that's also kind of generic because there's so much variety, because you can do like ramen or you can do like mac and cheese. Right. So I don't like committing to one food forever is a little terrifying. And I don't know if I don't know, rice maybe. I know it's so plain. I don't know if eating rice forever would solidify as like I could add seasoning to it, and I know it has no real nutritional value. But
what about snacks? Like, what do you usually have on as a snack in your pantry all the time?
Again, I fluctuate. So like right now I'm on fruit, like, because I got a bunch of fruit from Costco, and so I've got these giant containers of like blueberries and grapes and stuff. That's probably what I'm on right now. I'm trying to be better about like healthier snacking, because if I have it and I get hungry, I'll eat it. So like I'm looking at the bags of chips that I just added to the pantry.
No, over the past 6 months I've been like really having to edit down my diet, because it's difficult. You know, this is the first time I've actually been able to put on a good weight really fast. And previously I was just dieting incorrectly. I thought, if I eat everything in sight and I'm constantly full, I'll grow, which was so wrong. And because that one thing finally clicked, I was able to kind of get more of where I wanted fast. And now it's like highly restricted. Just because a lot of the time it's, what am I going to have room for? Versus if something might be good nutritionally, what is it doing for me? You know, I'm not worried about going over in calories or anything. I'm scared that I won't be hungry enough to eat what I need to eat. But I've been finding ways to enjoy it, for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been my challenge right now is just because like I'm trying to like tone, but also like lose a little bit of what I gained from the pandemic. And it's like finding things that I know will be like filling and taste good, that are also like, that have good enough nutritional value to it, you know, like, just because I think during the pandemic I hit this point where I would just kind of like get a bunch of junk food because I could, because, you know, adulthood is dangerous like that. But I would just, you know, I'd have it and it would be there, and so I'd get hungry and I'd just eat it. So just I have to like, one, never go to the grocery store hungry, because that's like my downfall, is I'll buy everything that I don't need, and later when I'm full and I, you know, look at everything that I have, I'm like, why did I do that? But yeah, so just kind of being more aware. And also I've been kind of learning like, okay, what makes like a well-rounded meal, like, you know, you like with like the protein and everything. And I'm a bad cook too, so it's not helpful because everything I make is bad.
Do you have an air fryer?
I do have an air fryer. You have to
implement that, like,
time. My mom gave me a recipe for, it's like an herb mayo chicken, which I have an egg allergy that came up out of nowhere, but I use vegan mayo. Which I have to avoid egg in its entirety, which it's in a lot of stuff.
I remember you posting about all like the tests you were getting done and like the pictures of so much.
Oh yeah, because I in November was getting hives all over my body, and I had no idea why, but it was all over my arms, my torso, my legs. They were up, like on my face, and they just kept growing, and I had no idea how to get rid of them or where they came from. Then I figured out it's egg, which I never had an allergy to before. But so currently I'm cutting all of that out. But The one air fryer recipe that I discovered that I love, that's really easy to do, is you take mayo, you mix in rosemary, oregano, and thyme. You put that on the chicken, like a chicken breast. You do like panko breadcrumbs, and you put it in the air fryer at 400 for like 6 minutes on each side. It's so easy to do, and it tastes really good. That's kind of one of those. That's one of those that I was definitely hooked on for a long while, and I was doing all the time. Also, because it was just so easy.
Right.
But like finding little things like that, I think, is what's been the most important. Like also like just finding easy things to make that are healthy, because I don't have the patience to make an extensive meal.
I really don't either, at all. Like that's definitely the hardest part, and trying to find a good balance between those.
Yeah, because it can be so time consuming to actually put together like a nice, like, you know, fully well-rounded, really good meal.
A lot of the time, like before I came on, whenever it was, oh, you have to eat or you should eat protein after you work out, it doesn't matter, like at all. Just hit a certain amount throughout the entire day. For you, don't go over 30 grams of protein within like a 30 to 45 minute period, because then after that you get diminishing returns on what your body can absorb, stuff like that. A lot of people make it all crazier than it needs to be. Whenever they go, oh, I have to watch my calorie count, my carbs, my fats, my sodium, my protein intake, and then it's just so overwhelming they stop every part of it.
Yeah.
Like, so far all I've gotten down in the past 6 months is my protein intake. This week I'm looking at my carbs. The next week, or not the next week, 3 or 4 months from now, once I get this diet down and successful, I'll look at my fats, because I know they're extremely high because I drink half a gallon of milk a day, right? It's just, I know it's up there. Just one thing at a time makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
And realistic.
Yeah, I think that's one of those that had always kept me from consistently working out, is I would set such high expectations of like, I've got to do this and be good at this by this point, and like I hit a point where I'm like, I'm just going to try to do something every day. And just doing that was the biggest thing, because then I got into a consistent routine, and then I was like, okay, now I'm going to take stock. Like, I'm not going to try to like count calories, but I'm going to like just be aware of what I'm eating during the day and like have an idea of it. And then from there, it's kind of like, you know, like the narrowing down, I think, is just so much less overwhelming, because I feel like it's why the New Year's resolution thing doesn't always work, is because you set this like really big goal, you know, and then you don't immediately reach the goal. And so then it's so easy to just be like, well, why am I trying?
Yeah. That's why I stopped so many times, honestly, was because I was missing, you know, my diet by a lot, but I would put in so much effort in the gym and wouldn't see results that I wanted in a key amount of time. Or I would, you know, the people that I would look to for information and, you know, workouts, they were just massive dudes and super cut. And I'm like, I need to be that. Why am I not getting anywhere near that? Or something as simple as being super uncomfortable with lifts and certain kinds of exercises. I mean, until honestly, literally today, I'm uncomfortable in the gym around other people. I usually go at 3 a.m. when no one's there. 3 to 4 a.m. no one's there. Entire place is empty. Where I go, there's not even employees there at night. And I only feel comfortable like that. But I went in today at like 3 p.m. because I was like, I gotta get over this. Otherwise, if I don't make it to the gym right in the morning, I'm not going, because there's gonna be other people there.
Yeah.
And I went in, and then I like legitimately looked around for a minute, and I was like, people are staring at me now because I'm the bigger dude in the gym, finally. But yesterday I didn't feel like that, you know.
Yeah.
Still something I'm super self-conscious about.
Yeah,
like,
I've
just
avoided gyms at all costs, because it's the imposter syndrome of like, everyone knows that I have no idea what I'm doing and that I don't belong in the gym. You know, like I started, because, you know, pandemic, the gym at my apartment was closed anyway, so I did a lot of stuff in my apartment just to kind of get doing, like, you know, there are some things that you can do, like YouTube video based workouts that I would do. And like, it reopened, and I remember the first time that I was in the gym and someone walked in to also work out, and I was like, I gotta go, like I gotta get out of here. And One of the other things is that I realized is a lot of times people are just kind of, they're doing their own thing too. Like that person could not have cared less that I was in there on the elliptical. They were just,
Yep.
they were there to, do their own thing. And I was like, okay, all right. And so it's like one of those, like the slow comfort of like, I mean, what I'll do now is I just get on the elliptical and I watch like a TV show. So then I don't even focus on what anyone else is doing. But yeah, I feel like the gym culture, especially if you haven't always been like keeping up with it and on top of it, it seems so scary to like jump into. But once you start doing it, I feel like I don't know, it's one of those that kind of, it makes me feel better at the end of the day knowing that I did it. It's like a little accomplishment. Like I did that today. I'm sore. Like one of my favorite things is being sore, like in a weird way.
I envy you.
Okay, when I can't move, that's not great, but like
most of my stuff I don't get sore anymore.
Okay.
But that was my validation of I did it. I did good enough.
Yeah.
Now it gets to where I will end my workout shaking, like just absolutely destroyed. And then I get home and 2 hours later, I'm like, I don't know if I did enough. I'm not sure. Like the only thing that's lagging behind is like legs and hips, because I haven't gone through with that as much as I should, because it's something that I'm uncomfortable with in the gym. Like I'm super uncomfortable doing a squat in front of someone, just because I'm tall and lanky and it's awkward and my hips dip weird at the bottom and I'm not going to be able to do much weight at all. So instead, I've been doing everything except that until I get to the point that I'm comfortable there. But I'm still not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those that, like, I don't know. Now, you said that when you were talking about, like, being sore, and I'm like, if I ever hit the point of not being sore anymore, I know I will worry as well. Because I know what you're talking about of, like, if I don't feel sore after a workout, I'm like, I could have pushed a little harder. Like I could have like not taken a breather there or
you're gonna hit that point where your body's just like, oh no, we got it. It's fine. And it gets to where like I questioned for weeks. I still do now. I know I'm working out hard enough, right? Like everything, the pre-workout I take out is like crack. It makes you feel insane and you go crazy when you're at the gym, and it's great. And I know I do enough, but at the same time, I will continue to question it and just have to remind myself back and forth. Basically, if you take a muscle group to failure once, multiple times within a workout, you're fine. That's it. That's all it takes. And then also something that you shouldn't feel, something that a lot of people feel bad about, and that I felt bad about for a long time, is losing your gains, right? Losing your progress from not going. But there's some studies that someone put together. Basically, if you keep your diet the same, you cannot do anything for about 2 weeks.
Interesting.
And everything will stay. So from your just daily normal moving around, 2 weeks before you start to lose muscle, as long as your diet stays the same. And what you said about grocery store stuff earlier, I have a very hard stop as well. I will not buy anything shitty ever. Sweets, nothing. Oreo, just nothing at all. Because if I don't buy it, I can't eat it. Because I'm a monster and I can't control myself. And like, say if Marianne will get some chocolates or something, I will destroy them so fast. Every time I'm in the kitchen, I grab one just over and over and over and over again. And I tell her now all the time, like, you have to hide things from me. I can't control myself at all. But it's good that I know that, so I don't get anything.
Yeah.
Ever.
I know. I had like a little win moment yesterday because I was at the grocery store, really late. It was like really late and I was hungry and I saw this thing of Oreos and I was like, ooh, Oreo, like I could get a tray of Oreos. And then it was one of those that I like had that moment where I'm like, in theory, I tell myself, oh, but I'll have like one or two and I'll be fine. But I know that if it's there, I will take an entire like line of them out at once if if given the opportunity.
Yeah, if I wish I was one of those people that had that much control.
Yeah.
But I know I'm not, and I know I probably never will be. I still enjoy stuff, still really enjoy food and treats and like being out and about and getting stuff, but that's usually all I feel comfortable with personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's also like important to know like your personal like way about it, because like my mom, she had to go on a diet she got her knees replaced, or like partial replacement. But so she's at the stage now where she doesn't eat really like carbs or sweets or anything at any time. But she will, if she's out with people, she'll take a single bite of their thing and like, and won't be compelled to do any, like, she'll obviously enjoy it. But I couldn't. I'm like, if I tried something sweet that tasted really good and I wasn't eating sweet things, like I would have to go all in. There's no stopping it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will never be the person to have that kind of impulse control. Another one of the questions, sorry, that everybody, that the mods ask every time. I went off on a whole side tangent, which is super, it's the point of it. I try to keep structure loose just because I prefer like conversation as it happens.
Right.
So this is the age-old question. If you're making a bowl of cereal, do you put the cereal or the milk in first?
You put the cereal first.
Okay, good.
Otherwise, you can't know your ratios. Like, anyone that says different can be wrong, and that's fine. But if your cereal is floating on top of your milk, how do you exactly know how much cereal you've put? Your ratios are going to be off. You don't know what's going to happen. You're living like an animal, and you should realize that and change your ways. Like, that's it, That's just speaking the truth. It's not like an opinion thing.
It's just, it's fact.
Yeah. Yeah, you can be wrong.
One of the other guests who came on once was like, it's a buoyancy issue because, like with the cereal that just sits on top, like you're gonna have to like dunk it into the milk to like get the milk on it. And
I don't know how you're gonna know that everything's okay, right?
Someone else said that they used to, when they ate cereal, they had a bowl of milk and a bowl of cereal, and they would like from the milk and from the cereal to keep them separate.
That's not worth.
I feel like some people mentioned like extra dishes, like.
Yeah. Oh, I hate dishes with a burning passion. So.
Yeah, I can't leave
my chili in one pot.
I was gonna say then you have less to do. I can't leave anything in the sink because my cat will jump up on there. Her favorite thing to do is to jump up on there. If there's anything remotely edible, she'll start eating it. So it forces me to do my dishes, but
yeah,
I don't like it. Let's see. I think there's the last question that the mods ask pretty much every time. When spelling bananas, do you spell it with the Gwen Stefani song, or do you just spell it normally?
I try to. I don't think I can spell bananas, to be honest with you. I think I let it autocorrect every time. I think I add too many ANs in it and just keep going. Like that's a straight up answer. That's one of those words. I spelled the word maybe incorrectly until my junior year of high school, and no one corrected me.
Really?
Yeah. Mabey.
Okay.
Is how I spelled it. No one said a single thing. Forever. Not a single English teacher. Nothing. It just went on until someone in one of my classes pointed it out one day, and I was like, what are you talking about? They were like, no, it's not spelled like that. I'm like, look at it. Like, I had an argument with them. I was like, Mabey, maybe. That sounds perfect to me. Like, it could be spelled like that, but it's not. Shit with spelling.
Yeah, I think the one that I've always messed up on is the word weird. I always switch the E and the I. I think it's the E first. I still mess it up, to be completely honest. That's one for me that I wait for autocorrect to fix it if I spell it wrong.
Have you ever typed in something lately that doesn't have autocorrect on it, and then just you realize that everything's completely fucked up?
Yeah, when I wait for something to fix, like I'm like, all right, fix it.
Yeah.
Or like I'll type something that I know I spelled wrong, and I'm like, there was no red underline there, like there was no, like it didn't just change.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I rely on it.
Yeah, like Photoshop and Premiere Pro helps me recognize that I don't know how to spell anything ever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I recently started an online course on Premiere Pro, and I think we were doing it was like the unit on like titles or something. It doesn't have autocorrect on there, does it? Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, because I like typed something and I was like, I like right clicked it and I was like,
yeah, where
are the suggestions? Like, where's?
It's not there.
Yeah. Oh my god. Let me just see if we have any other. Okay, there are like 3 more in Discord. I don't want to take away your whole evening. I mean.
Oh no, it's.
I appreciate you being here though, and I've really enjoyed like. I appreciate how laid back you are, because it makes this less, I don't know. I kind of match the energy of whoever's on, and so the people who are very like I'm like and like I get tired it's so hard. Fast.
It's hard not to reflect that. You know?
Yeah. And then it's like I want to make sure people feel in like an area of comfort, and I'm not just like deadpanning them. Right. So it's nice because I feel a lot like I feel like it's been like what? I'm almost at 3 hours on the stream, and I don't feel. Normally it's like an hour and a half in. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
Look at that clock and you're like, shit, only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And it's not like I don't enjoy talking to high energy people too. It's just I'm not like I can be high energy, but it has to be on my own volition to not get immediately exhausted from it.
Yeah.
So I just in short, I appreciate it because it has, and it's also been just like a very like, I don't know, enjoyable conversation, kind of jumping from thing to thing, a little bit of nonsense, a little bit of deep conversation. So
I like being able to bounce between the two.
Yeah.
Anytime, like no matter what. I think it's nice.
Yeah, I feel like it's good variety, which is that's kind of, I don't know. I feel like those are the kind of people that I have like the easiest time relating to, because it's like you can joke around and have like a stupid conversation, but you also know that if you needed to have like a real conversation about something, you know that you can hold a conversation of substance with that person.
It's you can get there and then bounce back to like if you can talk about something super sad for like 10 seconds and then bounce back to you're having a good time and enjoying your day. Type of stuff. And I always like that, and I like people knowing that about me, that I'm okay with, like if someone's like, oh, I don't want to say, it's like just too much information, and I'm like, say whatever the fuck it is. I'm not gonna judge you. It's not gonna be weird, whatever. I'm so fine with talking about absolutely anything, no matter what it is. Like that's why I typically ask other people if they're okay with like getting deep with stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm ready to go there.
Yeah.
Right. And like the darkest things that have ever happened to me, to where I'm like, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. Oh, I can't imagine that. And I'm like, you want to go there? I'm fine. I just don't do the thing that people do when I tell you about the thing.
Yeah.
Is usually it. I think it's easy to make friendships that way and really get to know people and let people get to know you. And I think it's super important because there's a lot of people now that have trouble making big connections because they're not open, or because the other person doesn't like share that they're kind of open about that stuff. So we make friends easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, I've always been like, I can do small talk, but it's never been my favorite because I'm like, I don't know, like I love joking around, but it's like I also want to be able to talk about something that matters, like, you know, like bigger things. And like on the idea of like people having trouble, you know, making friends, one of the things that sticks with me, it was actually from like an acting class, but I feel like it applies to life. You know, one of the things like one of my teachers in college would say about like being prepared to do a scene or to act is like, are you prepared to be loved or to be hurt? You know, like, are you available to that? And I feel like if you're always playing it super safe, like, because to put yourself out there in any regard is always a risk, you know, it's always a risk that someone's going to reject you. But if you don't ever take that risk, then you'll never like have the positive, like you'll never have good relationships if you don't let people actually know you.
So one of the things that, like, it's not something that I struggle with. Like, I don't really struggle with rejection. But I think I struggle sometimes with putting myself out there. Like you said, kind of just the act of doing whatever it is. And then I just saw a TikTok thing where they would every single day make it a point to ask someone something absolutely insane and dumb that is obviously going to get a no, just so they get used to it. Like, just something absolutely meaningless. And I think the one was, they went up to someone at like an airport, one of the flight attendants, and was just like, "Can I fly the plane?" Completely serious about it. And the flight attendant was like, "No, absolutely not." But that's something that I've thought about, like, really wanting to do, because I think it would also spice up my day a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it'd make for some fun stories too.
Yeah.
You get a surprising yes.
They let me. I don't know what happened either. Yeah. I think
yeah, I feel like that's a really good skill, because I feel like
it's a harmless thing to do. Like,
and it teaches you, because like it's like the worst thing that someone can say pretty much is no, and it's, for the most part, depending on the situation.
There's certain areas where,
depending on what you're asking and who you're asking and in what circumstances, but
definitely recognize the situation.
yeah. But yeah, I think that one of the other things that I'm super overly introspective, so I'm always like, why am I like this? But one of the things that I realized is the fear of failure, or the fear of what other people will think of what I do and or say, is what keeps me from doing most things. Especially creatively.
100%.
Like, I'm like, what if I do this creative thing and everyone thinks it's stupid, but I pour my heart into it, and so then I don't do it. But who knows, it could have been really good, but because I judged myself preemptively.
That's like the entire center of content creation for me, is I'm not going to do it because it's not going to be as good. It's going to be fucked up. Someone's not going to like it. It's not going to do well. It's not going to perform well. People don't care about that thing, whatever it is. And it stops me from producing so much. I can't help it.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, the default, like, it's always like that feedback loop of like, you start to do it, and then I feel like it's that little bit of like doubt in the back that like it keeps popping up, even if you're excited about it. Like, even if you feel like, oh, well, this is really cool, then there's that like, well, people are gonna think this is stupid, or people are gonna, and I don't know. I had this, I watched Bo Burnham's, new special on Netflix.
Oh, absolutely insane.
And
right, I'm sure you felt so much with that, right?
Oh yeah, I had this moment because I watched it on the plane. I was flying back from like a family gathering, and I watched it on my phone on the plane, and I just had this moment where like everything clicked, where I'm like, I know for a fact he doubted himself a million times while making this, like, just from the way that he presents it. But how much worse off would we all be if he just gave up and decided everyone's gonna hate it, it's gonna be terrible, like. And I just had this moment where everything kind of like clicked creatively, where I'm like, okay, yeah, I can make stuff and it might fail, but if I stop because of that, then I take away the opportunity to make something really cool that is, like, that piece of work is so inspiring to me. Like, Inside is something I think about all the time. So
I felt like, just being a straight white dude, he was talking about so much stuff that I felt that no one else has ever fucking said.
Yeah.
To where I was like, holy shit, he gets it. Why does he get it, but no one else does? Type of stuff. I thought it was amazing. Like, I felt very heard.
Yeah, I was gonna say the voice that he gave, along with how beautifully done it was, like the creativity in every aspect, how every part was so like meticulously done, very intricately, crafted. Like,
and then at the same time weirdly shittily thrown together.
Yeah.
To where it was just essence of Bo.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, there were so many emotions that I felt while watching it. Like, I laughed, I was shocked, I was uncomfortable at points, I was, like, it's one of those that I still think about certain moments. I still think about, like, oh, that made me uncomfortable. Why did that make me uncomfortable? Like, or, just like, what is it? Funny feeling, that song. Like, I think about a lot, like the lyrics to it, and like, also that he prefaced it that he can't play the guitar or sing very well, and then he goes to do both well.
Yep.
Like, anyway.
He doesn't believe he does either well, though. At all.
And that's one of those that I think I had this moment of, like, someone who is such a clear, like, visionary and talent doubts himself all the time, and may not ever really understand how talented he is because of self-doubt. And I don't know, that it was just a clicking moment.
Yeah, I even remember watching some kind of special where he was there. He's ridiculously tall, by the way. I don't know, like, he was in a special with just all the greats. Like, just everyone was just sitting in this room, and I don't even remember who it was. But they just looked at him and went, "You're the future of comedy. You are, like, God sent. And it's insane what you provide and what you do at such a young age." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, fuck off. Shit. What are you talking about?" And, like, someone that he absolutely, like, 100% sees as an idol said that to him, but he's still like, "No, man, no. Shut the fuck up. What's wrong with you? You stupid or something?" Like, it's crazy seeing that someone with that much talent and that so many people enjoy can just think the exact opposite.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits that he did was, so he did, like, unpaid intern, and then he does the bit where he's reacting to it and reacting to him reacting to it.
Yeah.
And he's like,
great.
I want people to think that I'm smart, so I say, and I was like, oh my god,
and he
like,
just keeps on diving into that, and just
yeah, it's just, there was so much there that I thought was so, and that one to me, that I was like, that was such a good look at, like, just, like, breaking down the thought process, because I'm like, I've been down that, like, exact same rabbit hole of, like, doing something, this is what I present, this is what I think about what I've just presented, like, oh my god, it was, I could talk about it forever. It was just so, and that's I've only watched it once. Like, I've listened to the music a lot, but I've only watched it once, and it was so
I've also listened to music a ton.
Yeah, I jam out to FaceTime with my mom all the time. It's such a bop, and I have no reason to dance as hard as I do to it, but I do. Or the fact that he has a mix of songs that are, like, so funny and also really serious within the same. Oh my god, it's so good. I need to rewatch it just because, like, I've listened to the music a lot, but I want to, like, I feel like there's still stuff that I would catch that I missed the first time around.
I'm really curious for my second watch too, because, going into it, you're like, aha, new stand-up, cool. I was like, Bo's last performance, it was really a show. It wasn't stand-up, it was an experience. I wonder what this one's gonna be. And then you're laid back in your chair going, fuck, what was that? Oh my god.
I was not prepared like, people talked about how good it was, but I was not prepared for what it was.
Had no expectations in that way. I went, this is going to be a funny performance where he does some cool artistic shit and does some cool musical stuff, and then also hits on some pretty hot topics that are controversial that he somehow has a very solid opinion on. And then that's it. It wasn't that.
Oh, no, not at all.
No.
Yeah, I just, again, like, from every aspect of, like, it was very well produced, but like you said, also moments of just vulnerability, and then the creativity that went into, like, the music, just, and the whole, like, production of, like, the lighting, everything that he did with the lights, and the way that he transformed the space, like, White Woman's Instagram, I just, like, the visuals that he created, I was watching it and my jaw dropped. I was like, this is, and also the song in itself cracked me up because, like, and or I don't know if it's called Sorry, but the one that's kind of like 80s workout montage vibes, like that one, because like the content of it is him addressing that he's done problematic things, but it's also funny, you know, like it's and catchy. Like I don't know like how he takes all of these things and combines them into the name is problematic. Oh, okay, yeah, the song.
Yeah. Some people are just built extremely differently, and there's nothing that there's like nothing that we can do to be that, right? At all. Like the way that I recognized this was a long time ago. I was watching Pumping Iron, like a bodybuilding documentary with Arnold in it, and it let me know that some people are just they're just built differently. There's absolutely nothing that you can do to be that person, no matter what. You have to find your stuff. And for what made it click for me was for Arnold, he talked about experiencing a pump in the gym, and he said every time it feels like he's coming. Like legitimately, he feels like he's coming. Every time he gets a pump, every time he's in the gym, he says, backstage, before we start doing stuff, I'm coming. When I'm at the gym, I'm coming. When I'm at home with my girlfriend, like, that's how his brain operated on bodybuilding. So, you know, if me or you had that was how our brain worked, you would obviously be a world champion at whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel that way. And you gotta figure out what makes you come, I guess.
The moral of the story of the day.
Yeah. just whatever it is that you can fully dive into and go crazy on, rain or shine. Good luck finding it though.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. Right?
Yeah. I guess part of it is just figuring out yourself, who you are, obviously, is a big important thing. But like, one of the other things that I also kind of realized recently is like, one of my other instructors would call it like retiring mythology. So like things that you were told when you were younger, or things that you've been telling yourself because of like one inciting point. Like for me, I always told myself I can't write because in high school I wrote fan fiction with one of my like best frenemies in high school, and she would always like review my chapter and make a million edits on it because like it wasn't good enough kind of thing. Like she was a really good writer too, but so I just always told myself like she can write, I can't. That's not my thing, you know. And just I didn't realize that I've been telling myself since high school that I can't write. And then I took a writing class and realized like I actually like I can write. Like if I let myself and if I work at it, like I can do it. And so I think one of the other things that's been really beneficial to me, just kind of growing, is like figuring out the things that you've told yourself and you've been telling yourself, you know, and like checking in on that and being like, why do I think this? And is it actually true? You know? And like, that's one of those, like, I saw something with T-Pain, or not T-Pain. Is it T-Pain?
If it was on Twitch.
I think it was a
guy came into his chat and he said, like, your music shit, stop. And then he takes his Grammys, and then whoever the girl is he's with, he goes, oh, we might as well throw these away. Albert 1379 says we're shit, and then he pulls out. Was that what you were talking about?
That's not the specific incident. I think it was because he talked about, or because he was on the Masked Singer or whatever, and that's how people I think realize that he can actually sing without auto-tune.
Really?
Yeah, and so he apparently way back when he was doing music, Usher came up to him and was like, hey dude, you fucking ruined music. Basically told him he ruined music because of using auto-tune. Or was it Usher? Yeah, told him, and that like sent him into a spiral of like, I can't do anything, I'm not good enough. And if you look up a clip of him singing, if you look up like him on the Masked Singer, he has an amazing voice. But so he just thought like he couldn't do it, like, you know, it sent him into a spiral of like he can't do it because this person told him this. And like, it's crazy how a shitty take from a single person, and he thought that they were friends too, so like that also, like having a friend tell you that you ruin something or can't do something, like, so just it made me also realize like it's important to take inventory on the things that you believe about yourself, because they're not always true.
And there's a lot of stuff, like there's a lot of people to me, I couldn't really even tell you who they are unless the time pops up, where when I do something, there's specific people that I want to validate that it's good or that it's done well or I'm doing a good job. And if I don't get that, or sometimes even if I don't bring myself to the level to seek that, I go, oh shit, absolute garbage. But also, if one of those people were like, no, the thing is shit, but it wasn't, I would go, yeah, it's definitely shit, and then never touch it again.
Oh yeah.
And I understand that sometimes I'm that person for people. So I really make sure to not fuck up something for someone.
Yeah,
Unless I'm like so certain that it's gonna lead down a bad path, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that can be difficult too, is because you don't always recognize, and this is like in life, but also as a streamer, you don't always recognize how much impact you have on people. And I think one of my biggest fears is that I'll do or say something that like sends someone down a spiral or that kind of, which on the flip side of that, I've had people use that against me, where they like hold me emotionally hostage because I care.
Yeah, you can't. That's awful.
Yeah, that's one of worst things I think to deal with as a streamer.
Yeah, I had ex-girlfriends do that multiple times, and I was like, no, not doing that anymore for anyone ever. Damn, you made something pop up in my head. I forgot what it was. Talking about people holding you emotionally hostage, but right before that, what was it?
See, people holding you emotionally hostage.
Not wanting to make people spiral.
Yeah, worrying about that. Worrying about saying or doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. Okay. So my experience has been very unfortunate whenever it comes to something like that, right? And you can rub people the wrong way completely on accident. But I've done that to people a lot, apparently. But no one ever reaches out to me, like for anything, ever. If something's bad, if something went wrong, like for example, there was a girl streamer that left when me and Marianne started dating, and something happened, and then she like was extremely pissed at me and like unfollowed me on everything and just left forever, right? And then she DMs Marianne like a month ago apologizing to Marianne.
Interesting.
When I was the one that like stuff blew up. Like it's one of those levels of things to where like when I rub someone the wrong way, they do absolutely nothing to reach out most of the time to clear anything up. And it's when I don't know what's going on. I usually hear it from someone else and I'm like, what? No, that's not that way at all. Why would I think, say, or do that? What? But sometimes whatever happens already set in motion and it just like dips. Like my top supporter in the summer, I was changing the VIP stuff up, right? To where no one gets VIP. Whoever has points gets VIP. You steal it from people. I want it to be meaningless. He held so much value in that VIP, he just dipped on everything immediately with no words after giving me thousands over like the course of a couple months.
Oh my god.
Like he was holding my stream together and he was just gone. And I was like, yo, what? We've hung out in Discord. Like, I know you pretty well. I know what you do for work. Like, I know your at-home situation. I know everything about you as a person, and I appreciate everything you've done for me for so long. Like, my stream right now wouldn't be possible without you being here. And he was one of those people where he saw what I was doing creatively, and if I was talking about something that seemed really cool, he's like, yo, I got it. It's covered. I want to see you do the thing. It's specifically about the Lightform projector stuff. Because I was like, it's pricey as hell. And he's like, no, I got it. Just let me know what it's going to be. And then he just dipped. And I tried to reach out and be like, hey, like, I really value our friendship more. I didn't know so much was put into the VIP stuff. Like, I didn't know it was that big of a deal. Gone. Just gone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Weird.
Especially when people aren't willing to talk about it, because I feel like that's
Yeah.
one of the hardest things is like you can try to fix the problem, but if they're not willing to have a conversation, like, you know, and
Yeah.
one of the things that kind of I think came up when you were talking about like people not reaching out to you, like this is not, it's not helpful. And I know that it's not helpful because I've had a similar experience, but like I think part of it is like you're intimidating in that like you're a really cool person. I was terrified to ask you to come on my podcast for the longest time.
I got mad that you asked Marianne and not me. I was like, what can I be on the fucking podcast?
I wanted to ask you for the longest time, and I was so worried about it. I was like, oh my God, what if he laughs in my face and is like, ew, why would I, like, I don't know, like, not that I think you would do that, but.
Right, but I get it, I guess.
But yeah, it's one of those that I feel like, and I've had this happen too, where, you know, someone like, I'd find out from someone else something and I'd be like, why don't you just tell me? Like, because direct conversation and communication is so much easier. And I've had it happen before where someone's like, well, I just thought you were intimidating. And I'm like, I am a giant goober. I'm a dork. Like there's nothing intimidating about me. But to someone else, you know, it's one of those, like, it's the weird, like, others' perceptions of us versus who we see ourselves as. Like, you're super easy to talk to and a really great person. But I think that some people, like, it's like if you get that in your head about like, oh, they're scary, like, then you just don't, because you're, you know, not scary in a bad way. But
if someone is upset with me, or if I have upset someone, or someone thinks that I'm upset at them, especially if someone thinks I'm upset at them for some reason, usually I'll tell them, like, straight up. Or if they think that, chances are I don't care enough to be upset at them. Like, it takes a lot for me to be upset at someone, like, to let that get to me for any amount of time, really.
Yeah, I think
sounds odd,
especially with if someone's afraid that you're upset at them, I would say probably even less likely, because like when I thought you didn't like me, it wasn't like I thought you hated me. I thought you thought I was annoying, and so I was like, oh my God, I can't, like, I need to tone down everything about myself, like, interact, because like and it was me in my own head where I'm like, oh, I'm annoying, so he's gonna think that I'm annoying. And like I wasn't gonna, because I thought that that's what it was, I wasn't gonna reach out, because I'm like, that's more annoying to reach out and be like, hey, I think you don't like, you know. So it's like that weird internal conflict. And so half the time it's, my therapist told me this thing that's like, how people react to you and treat you says more about them than it does you. And most of the time, people's inability to reach out to you is more in it. Not that it makes it easier, better, or fixes it, but it's like, it's usually personal inability to either have confrontation or just a general fear of it.
I don't want people to be afraid.
Well, I'm not afraid of you anymore.
Yeah, it's something that I'm self-conscious about, is people's first perception of me, like, very much so, to where the fact that I just put color in my hair makes me go, damn it, maybe I look a little bit more approachable and like less of an asshole and like less of someone that's just gonna chew somebody out or get mad in public, like, because I don't emote a lot out and about, like, at all. I can be having a splendid time and it's just, I don't emote. That's just it. And people can think a lot of things because of that.
Yeah.
And no one will ask me. No one will be like, hey, are you good? So
I don't know. It's one of those
blue.
The shittiest. I like your hair, by the way. I saw it, what you tweeted, and I saw the picture, and I was like, holy shit, that looks really good.
No, it's fun.
But yeah, that's another one of those that I think is frustrating, because it's something that we also like still don't have control over, you know.
A little bit.
It's like
it's
a little bit, but
there's
even
no
then,
science to it.
Yeah. I'll try to overcompensate and be nice to people so that they don't think I'm a bitch, but then I'm like, they might think that I'm fake now, you know. Like, it's it'll be one or the other.
She's being ridiculously inclusive of like making sure everyone's participating in everything here. She's an asshole and I know it. Look at how controlling, like just something crazy like that, right? It's so weird, so odd. But yeah, you can only control so much. Like through the years, I've realized I've gone through so many different phases of what I wear and how I look and how my hair is cut and what I do and who I am as a person. I've tried on a lot of different hats, basically. But with that, I've seen what type of person I've attracted. But at the same time, I still feel like I have very little control, right?
Yeah.
It's always weird.
I feel like especially with people who tend to be more quiet, it's a lot easier for people to insert whatever their idea is, because it's a blank slate and they can however they feel or whatever they've perceived based on their own perception. You know, like they're going to say that this is what you are, which is why you know, if I'm in a big social setting and I'm quiet, someone might say, oh, she thinks she's better than us, she thinks, you know, this or that, when I'm just terrified to interact with people.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know, it's shitty because you can't,
it's hard to not care about stuff like that.
Yeah
Because it could like absolutely hold you back from a lot of things and a lot of cool like relationships with people that you didn't have any control over it. They probably weren't thinking those things completely on purpose. They were just going off of what they've experienced in their life.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it.
Yeah. And like, you know, like if I saw someone who looked like Vineyard Vines frat bro dude, I probably would make snap judgments whether I mean to or not, just because of the people that I've met.
It's just,
and they could be a perfectly like nice person, you know, like it could be, you know, we could get along great, but it's like because of past experiences, you know, we can't help it.
Yeah. Right.
But I don't know. I feel like one of the best kind of moments is when you finally get to talking to someone who you don't know very well, and you both have this moment of like, I really wanted to be your friend, but like I didn't know, you know, like, and I feel like those moments are such a, it's just like,
it's so tough. It's so tough getting there. Like there's people that I really want to be friends with where I don't say anything, like I hang out here and there, and it's really tough to just go, yo, you, me, forever friends. We're gonna do so much together. Like you can't just say that to somebody. When at the same time, sometimes I really want to.
Yeah, that's one of those. I'm so deeply terrified of being like too much, but then there are like those people that I'm like, I feel like we would be really good friends. Like we have very similar, you know, like, and again, it's that balance of like, do I say something or do I, you know, just hope that it grows into a friendship over time, kind of thing. And
there's been a few of that for me where it's just I've seen it just pass by and I'm like, shit, I wanted to be best friends. Like sometimes there's it's very rare, but sometimes I feel like just a super energy about someone where I'm like, this person's one of the coolest people I've ever met in my entire life and I want to be around them because it makes me feel good. Like sometimes it'll feel like I'm on drugs almost, because of how awesome I think the person is and how I want to spend more time around them. But I can't bring myself to go like, let's be best friends forever, because that's tough. It's not something you do.
Ugh. Making friends and being social is so complicated, and I can't stand it.
It'd be easy if everybody was just honest.
Yeah. Especially with the whole LA thing. I don't know who's pretending to be nice, who's just being polite.
Luck.
Like,
my goodness.
I don't believe anything that anyone says ever, just because I've had, you know, so many people be like, oh yeah, like I love you, I think you're so great, and then turn around and be like, this bitch, hey, da da da.
No,
you know,
it's impossible there.
I
don't know what's in the water.
Oh yeah, if I could be anywhere else doing what I want to do, I would.
Yeah. No, I was around. I was around a lot of the people going to the acting schools. What a odd. I don't know.
Actors are weird.
I know what you're doing there is not what they're the majority of them are doing, but the majority of them, it was like, oh, I came here from Ohio, and my dad's sending me to school for acting, and all the chick does is like sit in her apartment, smoke weed, and then go to school. And it's odd, but at the same time, they'll be super fake about everything. When I don't, it's so odd.
Yeah.
So spooky.
Yeah, I didn't end up. I mean, part of it's because again, like my inherent inability to be social, which I can be. I'm just really bad at it. Like most of the people in my class, like in my, I went to a smaller school, so like it was like 18 of us in my year for like the screen acting major. I didn't like get very close to a lot of them, and like all of them were doing their own things, but like a lot of the interaction, a lot of it was very, you know, like top level superficial, like, oh my god, like I love you, like let's hang out, da 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 da. And I was like, you know, like, okay, maybe, like it's like one of those I'll try it once, but again, it's a lot of the small talk, it's a lot of the like we should so do this and da 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 da, and like I don't, if I can't, you know, if we can't sit down and like just talk about whatever, you know, which is why I'm not like selective with my friends, but like it's like I'm very like I have a few really really close friends because I don't know, I feel like I can, one, invest more energy into each relationship, and two, it's like,
oh yeah,
I'd rather have a few people that I know really well and know me really well than have a bunch of people who I'm all kind of like surface, and like I have friends that I'm like surface level with too, like I have that too, but the most important relationships to me I think are like smaller, closer, because like you can make a lot of really really great memories with people who, you know, you're that close to and on the same page with. But
so okay, if you're good at writing, do you have TikTok stuff going? What are you doing?
I have a TikTok, but it's mostly stream clips, and that's one of those areas that I cannot understand. I am an absolute grandma about that.
What do you mean?
I don't understand how to create for TikTok. I have a few things that I'm like, okay, cool, like that made sense in the moment, but I don't know. Short form I'm not as good at. Like it's the jokes, like I don't know. I feel like stream jokes are different because like if it's on the spot and there's stuff to play off of, it's easier.
It's context a lot of the time. People need to know you. Like there's so much of a setup for something that's a 30-second joke on Twitch.
But then
it could be weeks of a setup, right?
Yeah, and like if I went to compose a specific, like I can't, like I don't know, the way that TikTok works, just my brain does not work that way. Like I think in very like long, like I'm writing a pilot episode of a show that I want to produce, like, you know, and like that's a big long-term project. I can think about that, and I can think about all the little details in this big project, but when I think about like a short form, like, you know, 1 minute max snippet of something, you know, it's hard because I also, you know, a lot of TikTok is you take a trend and you do the trend, and it's like just variations on the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I see some really creative stuff, and I have no idea how people come up with it. So yeah.
You just do it.
I know. I just need to put stuff on there because I think that's one of those platforms that you never know. It could be the stupidest 2 seconds of a video and people are like, this is it.
That's also the scary thing though, right?
Yeah.
Is one thing that I talked about doing was making a TikTok about how much fucking trouble I have making a TikTok. Where I go, I'll do something about working out. Oh no, I'll make a TikTok about my snake. No, my dog. No, I'll do stuff about setups, you know, PC setups. Or I'll do a TikTok about my shrimp tank or about my Jeep. Fuck, man.
Oh yeah, and then the worst is like if you put a lot of effort into one and it just tanks.
Oh, it just tanks, yeah.
So then I'm like, I don't want to put effort into any of them because I could spend hours on something that nobody pays attention to.
So I think that's what you should do is spend no time on it and just throw it up there until you get good at spending no time on making something good. Right. A buddy of mine that I worked with for a while has, I think, a little over 3 million followers on TikTok now.
Oh my God.
He does super well, but he's found his place. He was big on Vine as well, but he had nothing starting off on TikTok, and really he didn't diversify after Vine died. Yeah, he has 7.6 million followers on TikTok now.
Oh my gosh.
But what he does is those just really dumb, long setup stuff, right? Whether it's bouncing a ping pong ball off of a pot, off of a pot, off of a pot, and then 20 pots later, and then you're there. Or he takes a bunch of beach towels and spends 2 days moving them slowly until he has like just some creation of like a stick figure walking across the beach, like just something dumb. But he has such a refined process from doing something that I personally don't think is good content, right? But he's refined it to such a point to where it's successful for him constantly, and he barely has to do anything or even think about it to produce something that gets millions of views.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he can't do anything else.
Yeah.
Right.
Once you're in a
stream, like he can't stream, he can't make YouTube videos, he can't do any long form content. He doesn't do anything other than stuff like that. But I think that's where you have a very unique opportunity to do different. Just throw stuff up there. Who cares how much stuff it gets, especially on TikTok?
Yeah.
Like, and this is me telling you what I should be doing, right? But it's, if you don't post, you get 0 views.
That's true. Yeah.
And I don't post, so I get 0. And then it would have been better if I posted, even if it turned out to be shit, even if I hated myself for it.
That's true. I still need to, I'm going to try to put some of my Bean stream clips on there.
Yeah.
I've been putting off literally just formatting them. That's it. Like, it's going to take maybe 30 minutes maximum, but I just keep being like,
If something does bad, delete it within like the first 2 hours and then re-upload it again.
Yeah.
See if it does better a second time.
One of my favorite clips from stream that I ever posted on TikTok that did the best of anything I've ever posted got censored because, well, it was just a comment of someone saying like, what's the smallest penis you've ever seen? And I just, without skipping a beat, just say, I don't know. I don't look at many penises, but probably yours. And it got taken down for like sexual activity and nudity. And I was wearing a shirt that was up to here. Like, I could not have been more covered, like, but it was just because I said dick. That was annoying, but now I know.
Well, I duetted a video, like one of my first TikToks, about a girl talking about how guys can pop their dick, like make it pop. Yeah, and it's actually a really weird thing that's actually like a tendon moving over the surface quickly, and it's really terrible, and like you can have a broken penis for life if it happens.
Oh
but
my
she was
God.
like, it can happen, and I was like, oh my God, this video has 300,000 views. Like, people are gonna break their penises everywhere now because whatever reason. So I duetted it with like very correct information, and I was like, hi, penis user here, hold up. And it got taken down because it was like, she said dick.
Oh yeah, because I think they're saying in chat, they're saying like, I guess you can say,
Well, it was
penis?
weird because it got,
or you can't say penis.
I don't, it's so odd.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that's so weird there.
Yeah. Oh, there is another question in the Discord that I missed. 7up9down said, how excited were you after stream where Dead Mao joined, and did that influence your streaming?
That was so weird, and absolutely not at all, because that was right before I threw in the towel. But it was really cool. That was so weird. Everyone was really chill about it too. Like, not a single person in chat was out of line when Dead Mouse was in my stream talking about Cinnamon Toast Crunch. He came in while we were like looking at exotic animals, and it was just odd. It influenced nothing though. I quit. Like,
oh, sorry. Dom was fangirling, I think, over Dead Mao. I think. I don't know. Dead Mouse? Okay, sorry. I'm not cool. He's
see,
mad.
I wasn't gonna correct you. I was just gonna let you roll with it. It's all right.
It's okay. I get onto him for saying Mario instead of Mario, so.
Okay, well that's a weirder Mario.
Yep. Yeah. From the beginning, because I guess he's just always said that, and no one's ever corrected him. So.
Yeah. Well, I spelled maybe wrong
Yeah.
forever. So
It's just one of those. I mean,
yeah.
him and some people from chat got onto me because I grew up saying caramel instead of caramel. And
Yeah, that's a both thing. It can
yeah,
go either way.
I was talking to my mom and I said I've started saying caramel because
Yeah.
they would get onto me so much. So I just say it now. And my mom's like, "Did you just say caramel?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "It's caramel." And I'm like,
It can.
I
Now,
can't win.
if it's like you say pecan instead of pecan,
yeah,
once again another
it's
level
like
of
aunt
like,
or aunt.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's another question. Ishmael asked, if you could give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Uh, problem is with that question is from literally everything in life, I wouldn't go back and change anything. Because of how God, keep mining Bitcoin, you idiot. You dummy. What are you doing? I remember it was like 2008 or 9. I was just a little kid on a laptop and playing MMORPGs, and people were talking about Bitcoin stuff, and you could mine it then on a very shitty laptop with like no effort whatsoever. That's it. Only one really. Do everything else, but just I don't know. I wouldn't want to tell me anything. I need to experience stuff and not there's a lot of lessons that I would have missed out on if I avoided shitty things, you know?
Yeah. I also feel like advice or like someone saying something to you isn't going to be as impactful as experiencing it.
It rarely is, and even then, so much shit I constantly question from other people. Like you could tell me something right now, and I like you, I know you, I want to believe what you're saying, but something I heard 2.5 years ago from some random guy in a gelato shop in San Diego said something that completely contradicts what you're saying, and I don't know why he would tell me some incorrect information, but I have to look it up. Right?
Yeah.
Shit like that. To where I have to look it up
Yeah.
a lot. And like even with following health stuff now, there's so much where I was like, I have to figure it out, and take it from very specific sources. But at the same time, there's a lot that no one can tell me any different because I believe what I believe.
Yeah.
I have to, like, it has to go the other way
Yeah.
before I believe the other way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
I missed another question. It's also a point of dispute among my mods. Do you say backpack or book bag?
It's a backpack. Do you always keep books in your book bag? Is that all it's for? It's a backpack. What?
Chris is Swan the Kraken, my mod. She's the one who does milk first and also calls it a book bag. So
she's wrong.
She's wrong
Just
all the
on
time.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, she can live that life.
Yeah.
She's not hurting anyone.
Yeah,
except
yeah,
for,
yeah. Herself.
Like, her, yeah.
Let's see. Sorry. 7 Up 9 Down also asked, is there a chance he'll return to streaming?
That's the dream. Like, I look at myself all the time and go, holy shit, I had to give up on the thing that I was absolutely in love with, that I would put over everything in the world. I had to stop. I'd like to. I'd love to come back and it be successful. And, you know, if I knew it could, and I knew there was a way that I could drop everything I'm doing right now and completely drop out of school and go back to streaming full time immediately and putting all of my effort into that until it worked, I would. 100%. But I can't
Yeah.
You know, I can't be sure. I can learn more and then come back more prepared and with a better head on my shoulders. And hopefully it works out then. If it doesn't, I'll go try something out and then try streaming again and fail again, maybe. And maybe it'll be an endless cycle that happens until I die. Who knows?
I think you're one of the streams that, from the very first time that I saw your stream, I was like, you are far more underrated. Like, I feel like you deserve so much more credit than, like,
Not
you know, and
true.
just so I will stand by. I will die on this hill 100%.
No.
I
No,
100%
you're
will.
incorrect.
You're allowed to believe what you believe, but
No, you're allowed to be wrong, and that's fine. Let me explain why, though. You get everything you deserve on this platform. That's it. You get everything you deserve on this platform. If you got it, it's because you deserved it. If you didn't, it's because you didn't. Like, that is it. There's no other platform that I can really say the same thing about.
I'm gonna disagree with you because I feel like not every streamer who should have the, like, who has the talent, has the interesting, like, setup, like, the algorithm sucks a lot of the time and limits discoverability. And I feel like, you know, again, certain things, well, okay, just generally, like, being on a, like, a recommended page or just showing up in the category that you're in, I feel like they don't do enough to prioritize people who are putting in the work and doing the cool things like you are, you know? And it's an absolute, like, chance, you know, someone does something that gets on live stream fails and
1 second,
like,
so sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
Like, the worst spot for it to die in. An absolute chance. Continue.
Oh yeah, just so much of it is absolute chance. Like, you do something and it gets on live stream fails. Like, there are people who put in, like, almost zero effort into their streams who are really big, and that's all chance. And I don't think that should determine what you deserve. Just because someone got more fortunate in that moment that set them off on that path in that moment does not mean that they deserved it more than you do. And I think that you put in so much more work than the majority of the people on this platform. You deserve so much more. Like, I forever will die on this hill.
Okay, so if I deserved more, why didn't I get it?
Because the universe is shitty and it doesn't work out that way all the time. Good. Listen, bad things happen to good people all the time, but it doesn't mean that they deserved it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But this Twitch platform, I believe wholeheartedly that I have every single. It's all on me. You know, it's not on anyone else. It's not something that I can really blame others for.
But at the same time, you can't control it. If the right people, the people who will enjoy your content, haven't stumbled upon your channel, that's not your fault necessarily. They weren't at the right place at the right time to see it.
Or I wasn't at the right place at the right time.
See, you're putting too much on you. Remember when you said that there's only one thing that you can control and it's your body?
Right. But I still look back and go, there's so much more I could have been doing. There's so much more effort I could have been putting time into, and there's so much I shouldn't have been doing, and, like, a complete back and forth, right? I don't know.
You can always look back at something and say, what if, though, you know? And I don't know. I think it's important to recognize that you have high quality content and you're a good person and you work really hard and you're passionate about it and you're doing things that no one else has ever done. And I think that because of those things, you deserve a lot more credit and a lot more, you know, like, I just think that you're very talented and you deserve more overall credit and recognition for the things that you have accomplished and the things that you have done.
Thank you. You're wrong. Like, I'll show you. I'll show you when I do stuff that I think is actually amazing and not just a little piece of something that I was able to throw together. I'll get there. And then you'll go, wow, you're right. You didn't deserve shit before, but now stuff's great.
what I think personally is that you don't have the ability to appreciate how impressive everything. And maybe it's not impressive to you because you also have bigger plans.
It's
But
all the stuff I do now is so easy. All of it, everything, forever has just been easy.
but still
That's
no one
the
else
thing.
is doing it. Like it's still not something you see across the platform. Just because
they
it's
just don't.
just because it's easy doesn't mean that it's not also, you know, innovative and creative. You know, you're doing
Yeah.
things that other people aren't doing, and the fact that it's easy is honestly then more surprising that no one else has thought of it first, you know? Like
Yeah,
you were the person to do it.
Surprises me all the time. Like,
But no one, you know,
honestly,
it's like no one else has thought to do it, even
Yeah.
though it is that easy.
But-
So
at the same time, maybe someone else has thought to do it. It just wasn't discoverable enough for us to realize that we saw it because the audience on Twitch didn't want it whatsoever. And that's why it didn't become successful, even though it was something absolutely different and groundbreaking for the platform. It's not what the platform wants.
I mean, it's possible, but I think also then the same kind of applies to content just in general. You know, there are really good content creators out there who don't get the recognition because they don't end up with the community or the people in their stream that will appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because there's also a variety of viewers on the platform and everyone's looking for a different kind of content.
Yeah.
I'll die on this hill. That's all I
So,
have to
yeah,
say.
I'll continue to blame myself constantly.
Oh, there's another message in the Discord. It just said, oh, I don't think it's a question, but 7 Up 9 Down says, message to the tall, goofy, amazing guy. You didn't get it yet. You are amazing and awesome streamer that will thrive as streamer how or when, I don't know. The only things that I do know is that you will.
Maybe. I'll prove you wrong for my whole life just to prove a point.
Out of spite.
Yeah, I'll message 7 Up 20 years from now and go, hey, I'm miserable and nothing worked out. Yeah, no, I think cool stuff will happen at one point, no matter what it is. I would love it to be Twitch because I found that, you know. But at the same time, there's a lot that I could potentially see myself doing. Only problem is that's all that other stuff isn't anything social, right? None of it's social whatsoever. It's all me being alone, working on a thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's almost always how it'll be, unless it's Twitch. But with everything else, I'm super fine being alone, and it's great, and I can be super productive and get everything done. And that's where when I get my most creative ideas is me getting kind of weird and being alone. But Twitch is the only place that I think I'm gonna be able to be social and be happy and successful. So I hope it works out.
Yeah, I genuinely hope it does because from my perspective, and you can't tell me that my perspective is wrong because it's my perspective. I think that you are insanely talented and very deserving of, you know, all of the good, the fact that you aren't just like top level, you know, like by rating or ranking or whatever, like it floors me because I think that you have such great content and you're very talented and you're a cool person. Like you're not the asshole gamer type that is really big for some reason, you know, like I don't know, like you have merit to you as a person beyond creativity and skill, like as a person as well.
And this goes back to the same thing of if all of that was the case, things would have worked out, right? Like I tell Marianne all the time, because every 2 or 3 weeks I think about it and I'm like, I'm gonna delete everything and just dip from all the platforms and never go back, because it sounds so much easier than seeing friendship by friendship disappear, right? Person after person. One thing I'm terrible about is seeing people leave my Discord that have been there for years and going, oh, shit, it's my fault, right? That's my fault. And one of the things that I was super, super hoping for with streaming was I can say, hey, you don't always have to come around, but I'll always be here. I can't say that. I can't go back and tell people that again and then not, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that, but it's also a lot of pressure to put on yourself as an individual because you are only one person and you have your own, you know, like everybody has their own lives and I don't know. I understand where you're coming from though.
Yeah. Outside of Twitch, I never had anything else going on. Right? Like it was it. There wasn't anything else. So no. I didn't have life. Like they became my everything. Um, and that's absolutely what I wanted, which is also the problem for it to be everything. And then it turned out to like it feels like it didn't want me, if that makes sense. That's why I'm always so down about stuff and kind of negative and
Yeah.
overly realistic is what I'd like to call it. uh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. Like I feel like as a content creator, if you're not, I mean, and I can't speak to what it's like for people who have concurrent like 300 and upward viewers, you know. I mean, 300 seems like a lot to me. I know people have thousands, but you know, like
yeah,
I feel like it's always possible to think that, oh, well, I'm not doing as well as this, or like I thought I'd be doing better, you know, like
yeah, it's so tough.
The mental strain of it is probably the worst part overall.
A lot of it there for me was, hey, maybe if I get a little bit more discoverable, I'll make it, right? Maybe if I sit in the 70s and 80s, I'll get to the 90s, I'll get to the hundreds, I'll have the discoverability I need to make it on the platform. And then you get there and then it all falls apart, right?
Yeah.
You get to the 70s, the 80s, you hold it for a few months, and then you just fall back down and you go, fuck, that was really difficult. That was a tough climb. I had to bust my ass for so long. I had to stream every day for 90 days straight, like just to be able to really get anywhere and show up every day at the same time and everything be perfect. And then you can see someone else that doesn't have to do any of that. And, you know, they definitely have, like, a lot of people have great stuff about them, and that's why they get where they get. But you're like, how much do I have to do?
Yeah.
And it's so scary looking to climb that hill again.
I think the fluctuating nature of Twitch is one of the other things that makes it so terrifying and frustrating because, you know, I was at a point where I was climbing to, I'd have like around 40 people hanging out at one point. And then I don't know what happened, but I hit this wall and it was back down to 20. And I was like, what did I do? Do I have to change everything that you know? And like, it's so easy to get in that loop of like, well, this is, you know, I need to do this or I need to do that. And then at the same time, falling back, I'm like, do I just stop? Like, did I lose what I had? Like, you know, it's
is that it? Right.
Yeah.
And the scariest thing for me is when I got to the 70s, stream was immediately super enjoyable. The amount of people that I had there to throw stuff back and forth with was perfect. If there was a subject that I wanted to talk about, there was 5 or 10 people there for it. Like, no matter what, I could keep stuff rolling.
Yeah.
And
there aren't any like slow moments, you know?
Yeah, you go back down and you're like, oh shit, now you have to kick it up a notch just to keep things rolling a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll get to those numbers one day, I'm sure. Just it gets scary.
Yeah.
Like that's how I pictured Twitch at first. The numbers made sense to me, right? From doing all my Twitter stuff, it was if I get to 10, well, those are the hardest ones to get. You know, that's the most difficult thing to get to because you have the least amount of discoverability. And then I'll make it to 20, and I told myself that's why I did full time on Twitch. Was I said if I make it to 20 average concurrents, well, I can make it to 40. It's only going to be easier. That's so wrong, right? So wrong. And it took me a while to figure that out. And like you said about the number stuff a while ago, how you turn stuff off, right? For a long time, I didn't think it was affecting me whatsoever. So wrong.
Oh yeah, just to see the number
Yeah.
of how many people are there and then to watch it all of a sudden dip, you know, like I would on the spot rethink like, oh, do I need to change what topic I'm saying? Or like, you know, everything that I said, I would very, you know, or it just, I would feel so much more dejected when I would go like below 20, or if I saw, you know, a significant drop off, you know, and I didn't realize how much it impacted my presence on the stream. And then afterwards, I get emails from Twitch being like, here's how many people hang out.
Yeah. And there's some people that react the opposite way. If you've ever heard Ludwig ever talk about his stuff, he's like, yeah, when views drop, I kick it up to 10. I'm like, that's crazy. Your feelings like don't get hurt or anything. You just go, I have to do better, and then you do it. That's wild. I need like a while to recover. Like when none of it's again, people are just going and doing other thing, right? Are you a viewer on Twitch? Like an actual viewer on Twitch? Do you sit there for a couple hours in people's streams?
It depends. I didn't start stream as a viewer, so it's been one of those that I don't do as much, but like on occasion I will like hang out, you know, for a while in streams.
The same for me for the most part is I just started streaming. I didn't join a community and hang out with a bunch of people and figure out stuff. There's content that I obviously enjoy, but I could never go, I'm gonna go hang out with this person whenever they go live. I would love to have that mindset.
Yeah.
So when's the next beam stream?
It took at least 45 minutes to shovel all of the beans out of the pool into the sink garbage disposal, because I can't just go like out in a backyard to hose it off, and since I'm in an apartment. That was honestly the worst part. Sitting in the beans got cold, which was not great, but the smell it didn't bother me until we were cleaning it up.
Yeah. For Marianne's hot tub stream, I believe it's like a little over 800 gallons of water.
Oh my God.
Had to be bucketed in and then out of said hot tub. What a nightmare.
It's so much work. I was like, I don't know how people do it regularly. I mean, depending on if you're like in a house.
Houses.
Yeah. I imagine. But
can just run the hose in and then have a siphon out, and then that's it.
But I was just like the amount of work. And I wasn't even doing like legit, like I had a tiny little kiddie pool, like that would barely actually hold any water, and still it was a lot.
Question for you. Is there anything that you have set up or done for stream, like spent a lot of time on, that you just felt like you didn't get what you wanted out of it, or you didn't get what you deserved out of it?
I don't really, like, I honestly don't feel like I've ever done anything that impressive on stream. I've been feeling more so that way lately. Like, I get on stream and I talk, and then I get off stream, and I feel like I don't do anything particularly interesting or impressive in the meantime, you know, like during the duration. Sometimes we joke around and there's a really good back and forth, and I'm like, okay, like that was a good, like we were all enjoying it.
Yeah.
But then like being straight, like I don't know, I consider the things that I do, they're usually kind of memey, and like it's like Bean stream or like E-Girl stream or doing Thanos makeup. All of those things, like they're all like meant to be really goofy and weird. But, and I think also because of that, I don't think very highly of it. Like it's not like I did something cool and sophisticated and, I don't know, particularly interesting, or had like any kind of skill set that I utilized, I guess. Cause like the Thanos makeup was really like shittily done. I don't know how to put on a bald cap, but it was for the laughs. Cause it was like, I look really weird when you block out my eyebrows and put my hair in a bald cap and paint myself purple. Like, you know, like I can laugh at and appreciate them, like the memes that came from it. And that it in itself was that, but I don't feel like it took any skill to do. it was
Okay.
work to do a bean stream, but all I did was sit there in beans.
I get that.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to figure out what it is that I need to be doing to deserve more viewers, is I think what my mindset, because I feel like lately, like I mentioned, I get on, I talk, and that's it. And I feel like it's never anything particularly interesting.
There's a lot of people that just get on and talk, and then that's it.
But
And
I feel like
do-
they have interesting things to talk about, or interesting lives, or stories, or they're funny, or any variety of it.
they've just found some stuff. That's it. They found some things that work, and then just kept like rocking back and forth with that, and then that's it. A lot of the time.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm hitting this like internal crisis of I'm almost at 2 years. At the end of July is 2 years, and I'm like, I need to be grateful for what I have, for one, because I'm definitely more fortunate than some people who've been grinding on this website for even longer than I have, who,
Well, again, I like to recognize that some people absolutely grind on the platform, that grind but don't do anything in a smart way.
yeah.
So a lot of time's wasted. And then there's of course people that do a lot of great stuff and then nothing ever happens, but go.
I don't know. I'm like hitting 2 years, and I've seen people who started after me that so quickly surpassed me. And given at least one of them was on the Austin show and talked about squirting, and that was enough. Like, yeah, that's a particular example.
Well,
but like,
a very selfish thing for me, I will see people that started after me, right? That started stuff after me that stream a lot less, that I feel a lot of the time are doing stuff that's much less special. And then I'll see a tweet, I got partnered, and I'm like, fuck, man. You get jealous. You can't help it. That's it. Right? And the more time that goes by, the more people that you see that happen with over and over and over again. And you go, shit, when the fuck's my turn? Do I get it
yeah.
ever? Or am I one of the people that I've seen hop on Twitch and disappear? Because I've seen a lot of those too. And the latter is scary.
Yeah. I think that's that place that I'm sitting in right now, as I like get to 2 years, because like, well, for one, I'm at a point where like I have to absolutely get a real person job, because also I'm at this weird crossroads of like, it doesn't seem like streaming is working out that way for me, and I'm also like not even able to do anything with acting right now, and so I'm at this weird like, can I do anything? Like, is and acting is the same way of like, it can be out of nowhere, all of a sudden something will happen. And I think it's just, I have too many eggs in baskets that are so uncertain and not, there's no sense to it sometimes. It's just,
So, how about this? If you have a dumb idea that you want to do, let me know, and then I'll see if it's possible. Because that's the hardest part, is coming up with a dumb idea. It really is. That's what I struggle with all the time. Right? And you have a lot. I'm sure you have a ton of ideas that are way better than the stuff that I come up with. The only thing is I end up knowing how to do it. Like, before, you had a little pinwheel thing, right?
yes.
That you were talking about. You wanted every time you get a sub,
Yeah.
for it to spin, right? And I was like, shit, what if we made a really big pinwheel and we were able to hook it up to where it automatically spun every time?
That
there
would
was a
be
sub?
really cool.
Right? Sick. Let's do that. Right? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not do that? That's sick. That's dope. Fuck it. And if it's something crazy, like if you get tired of the pinwheel spinning because someone like Semicolons comes in and is an absolute monster, right? You can have it set up to where, it's every 5 gifted subs. There's a pinwheel and 2 smoke machines go off, and it's just something stupid, right? But it's so much fun, and it's like hearing you talk about stuff like that. I really like, because it's not shit that I'm thinking about, right? It's
Yeah.
not stuff that I can come up with. What I do right now to try to get inspiration for the shit that I do is I look at little motors and little servos and little parts of something that could end up being something maybe. The only reason that I came up with this dumb balloon thing is because I saw an air pump and I was like, shit, what's something super easy and simple that I could do with that? Because the previous idea was a ping pong ball shooter, that every time you just dono $1 or redeem channel points or something, it launches a ping pong ball at me, right? And I finally have that idea completely figured out and like understood. And once I get a 3D printer, I wrote something in Python that listens to Twitch chat commands and everything, and will respond to it depending on who it is. So I can have it to where I have a ping pong ball shooter that you can also aim, right? Based on like a coordinate grid system on
Yeah.
the screen. So it's getting to that point. I need a bunch of small ideas
Gotcha.
to help me get to all of that. But do your things. Fuck. You have to have something in there. I feel like you just don't know the possibilities of what you can do on the platform, and that limits a lot of what you do creatively.
Yeah.
So stop that. Everything's possible. Just tell me. Because it helps me just as much as it helps you.
Yeah. I'm sure that I've had an idea at some point.
Throughout the week. Like,
Yeah, I'll think
if
about
something
it.
comes to mind,
It's one of those whenever someone
um,
says like, "What's one thing?" My mind just empties of everything.
yeah,
So I'll think about it. I will definitely be thinking about it because
just
yeah, I mean that could be really cool and really helpful.
anything's possible. Just I think that's what limits people on Twitch, is the fact that they look around and don't see that much of a difference going on, unless you see like, one of the streamers that gets tens of thousands of dollars a month, and they actually just throw 1,000 of that into a small little project, and then it makes something that everyone thinks is absolutely insane and amazing, when in reality anyone could do it.
Yeah.
But like, I can't imagine what would be happening on stream if I had no limits.
Yeah.
It would be gross. Like, there would just be some giant warehouse full of the craziest things. And that's what I hope for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just gotta figure out how to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see, like what you could, I mean, what you've done already is impressive, but what you could do with like unlimited resources kind of thing. Like it would be insane. It would be absolute chaos, but in the best way possible.
Yeah, that's what I want so bad. And to still keep that same level of like real interaction going between things. And not it just being all a show. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I think what I'm learning now, just welding alone, is going to help with a lot of stuff, and a lot of small projects.
Yeah.
So, if not, go get a job.
All right. I just need to check. What time is it? I literally have not checked since I started.
It's almost 11.
Oh damn. I need to make dinner, so I will have to.
I have school at 8 a.m.
Oh my god, yeah. So you should be getting to bed. But I normally don't have so little concept of the time, but it's just really easy to talk to you, and I feel like it's been so fun talking about a little bit of everything.
I'm glad you invited me. You have no idea how happy I was when you invited me.
I was so scared too. I was like,
look, There's other podcasts I don't get invited on, and I have no idea why. Like I have, you know, requested to be on them. I know the people. I see other people they have on, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm not being included, and I get sad.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I wanted to have you on from like the very beginning, but I was like terrified to ask and felt like I don't know. And then you were just in chat one day, and I was like, okay, I have the confidence of streamer me right now. I'm just gonna do it. And then you said you were willing to, and I was like, and I think after stream, I like turned to Dom. I was like, he says he wants to do the podcast. Like I was so excited. So, but thank you for taking the time to be here. I really appreciate it. And
Of course.
I just have a lot of appreciation for, you know, the insight that you have, and just, I don't know. I feel like I learned so much just like in general from you about life and how things work. And I really appreciate it. Guys, if you do !guest in chat, it'll send you a link to his channel. You gotta be there. Turn on your notifications so that when he does stream, you are there, because I promise you, as you can tell if you've been here, he's a really cool person, and it is definitely worth it to stop by and hang out. But yeah, I appreciate it, and I sincerely am rooting for you, you know, just in general, but especially with streaming. Like I said, your stream inspires me so much, and was kind of one of the first big ones that I was like, this is something that I want to do. And I think that this, you know, like it's so different. You're doing things that no one else is. And I appreciate it, and I admire your creativity, even if you don't necessarily recognize how impressive it is.
Okay, let's figure shit out then.
Yeah.
Send me your ideas. I can help make things, and then it's just gonna help me so much. Like really.
When I think of stuff, I will send you a message, and
that's the toughest part. I swear. The toughest part is coming up with a thing. The easiest part is making it. Every time.
Dang.
Okay. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I had fun.
If you just want to say goodbye to, or well, for one, if there's anything that you want to promote, you can do that. And then two, if you want to just say goodbye to everyone hanging out.
I don't have anything to promote. My girlfriend streams every day, and it helps me with my bills. Her name is Dipped in Poison. She streams in the morning, and you should follow her.
She's really cool. She's also been on, if you guys go to the YouTube, her podcast is up. She's also really cool. You're both, I was so just terrified to talk to both of you, because you're both really cool, and I'm like, I'm a giant nerd.
We're so not cool, though, at all. Marianne's the biggest loser I know. No.
Oh my
she's
God.
great, but she's not so scary. All right, that's it.
I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to talk with both of you and hang out with both of you, though, because I think it also like helped me get out of my own, like, again, like my idea of like who you guys were from what I knew. Not that I never thought either of you were like mean or bad. I just was scared of you.
I get it. I was scared of her at first too, to be honest. So yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna just transition us over. They're gonna look at your wonderful photo. I don't know what I was expecting, but when you sent it, it just made sense.
I didn't take a single photo I liked in the past 2 years, except for that one, until today.
Really?
Otherwise, I would have sent you the stuff on Twitter. I hate myself.
It's relatable content. I feel like that's like the thing that on my channel we all kind of relate on.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, we're honest with ourselves, though. You know, we recognize it.
All right, it's just hard to change.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna transition us over. So if you just want to say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Goodbye. Thanks for having me. I'm gonna go read all the chat logs. So if you talk some shit, no, I'm not gonna do anything.